I do this, surely I think this would give audio, but then there could potentially be like bigger problems with this. There's only audio on YouTube.
No, there's no audio on YouTube.
Hello.
Also, I don't think that background's correct anymore, Ian.
Oh wait, what's this? Sorry.
It'll still work.
Well, yeah, it'll work. It'll just, well, there's risk. Maybe we just don't worry about it.
Okay. Oh, what should I change it to?
It's tiny.cc slash. What is it? It's tiny.cc slash UA
It's the
guest.
same link. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that we still have audio issues, don't we? Okay, YouTube audio is working.
TikTok audio works.
Are you sure? People are saying my mic is like horrible.
Are we good? Is that the thing? Do we do the? Hey, I can hear me.
Okay.
Welcome to hell. It's just
Wait, I think it
my
might be my
voice
fault.
over and over.
Jesus fuck. Why does that happen? Okay, I'm baffled.
Can you hear me? Oh yeah, no, that's my fault. That's absolutely my fault. I'm so sorry. It's picking up the wrong mic.
He died. That's just like that.
Blitz raptured.
Blitz.
He was a Christian all along.
Oh,
Yeah, you just hit the enter button. Oh wait, okay. I had to scene one, yeah. Hello? Let's say we're
He's still muted.
oh, that's right, he's still muted. Okay, that would do it. Let's
I'm saying words, but make my aspect ratio 9:16. Go to the video options and fix it, please. But it should be fixed now. For some reason, it was using my webcam mic rather than my mic.
well, I got worse news, which is that it's already at that.
No, you just have to click a button. Just click the button that says 9:16.
do 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 do.
All right, let's double check our audio. All right, let's double check our audio.
Wow, this certainly.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, everybody's audio except yours seems to be really good, Ian.
Damn. Well, that's the sacrifice I make.
Yep.
One sec. Yeah, we'll get this fixed.
We will indeed get it fixed. Hopefully before the show's over. That'd be good.
I am loving. I'm seeing the chat, and everyone's saying that this is just part of the show. This is what they come to love.
It really is. It really is part of the show. Three nerds try to work out technical issues.
Does this fix the audio? Does this make the audio substantially worse? Testing. Yeah, I also hear like the robot Ian echoing, but okay, wait.
Who knows? No, it's so much worse. It's so bad.
The Grudge.
Testing. Okay, so I still have reverb.
All of them. Oh God, it's me too.
Anyway, we can start. You know how you have these what are they? The songs where you sing in rounds. We can do that with ourselves.
Exactly. It's a blessing and a curse.
A blurst, if you will.
Welcome to the Unapologetic musical version.
Oh no, never will. Oh, I think the audio's gone on YouTube, on TikTok. Yeah, the audio's definitely gone. Oh, it's back. It's back.
When we do get going, we have somebody chatting on YouTube talking about Jesus. I hope that guy calls in.
Still no TikTok audio. Oh no, there is audio from me. Yeah, no, Ian cannot be heard. But yeah, we have strongest theist, which is a surely a claim.
Yeah. Hey, while we're all waiting, you guys want to hear a sound? Check this out.
Oh no. Can you not?
That's for everybody out there in the audience who's stuck around all this time, who's hanging out with us. That's a special treat for you. Yep, there you go. And it's made all the worse by the duplication of the sound,
yes,
and
so
by the
much
echo
worse.
and the audio, the robot. It's just ugh. And we are joined now by Lumix webcam software beta.
In principle,
our special guest.
In principle, I think that so the YouTube audio is actually okay. Give me some words there, Forrest.
These are words, and I'm saying them to you now through the internet, over the web lines, through the pipes and tubes. I hear you, and I don't.
TikTok audio is not working.
All right.
TikTok audio is completely dead. YouTube audio is quite good, for at least for you and I. In principle, we could just take guests and let Ian figure this out.
I'm down with that.
The trouble is TikTok can't hear anything.
I've only got about 2 hours or so left.
Yeah, I know. I know. TikTok audio is not dead? Oh, okay. No, I guess we're good on TikTok, but it's super lagged. I don't know how that's working.
Yeah, that's I'm hearing a lot of people on TikTok here saying that there's just a long delay. It's okay. Daddy, why did you eat my fries? I bought them and they were mine. But you ate them. Yeah, you ate my fries.
Wait, does this work?
And I cry.
We can hear you. There's a little bit of an echo.
I wonder why.
I mean, it just sounds like you're in a bathroom. There's not like an actual echo, though.
Wait, okay.
It's all good.
Does this fix it?
Maybe.
Daddy.
What about?
But I hear myself again.
Love me.
You can hear yourself again. I wonder why.
Yeah.
But I wish
Okay.
you'd show it, 'cause I just wouldn't know it.
Okay.
Why did Daddy eat your fries?
It's the Adventure Time songs, like one of my favorite Adventure Time songs.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't know.
Oh, you should watch Adventure Time. It's fantastic.
I watched Adventure Time a long time ago when it first came out. And I haven't watched it since. You know, I just never got around to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Is this interdimensional cable? It might be. It very well could be.
To the person in YouTube chat who says, if you have a Bible, read Psalms 137:9. That was the first Bible verse I ever memorized as a kid. And it was the first one I ever highlighted in my Bible.
Imagine having a Bible. Which what's the verse?
It never doesn't make me smile. Verse 137 of Psalms 137:9. Happy shall he be who taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones.
Wait, okay. Am I audible? Can I be heard?
Yeah, you just sound like your
Jesus
gain
of
is way up.
Christland.
Holy
I
fuck.
think that you're actually okay.
So sorry. So sorry. Wait, okay. Is this workable? Does this sound better?
Just turn your gain down. Turn your gain down. You'll be fine.
Okay. Wait. How about this?
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay. Sure. Wait. Okay. But is this? Are we functioning? Are we like? Are we? Is it working?
Your video's not there.
Yeah, but is the audio
Also-
there?
I want Kidda Samir to call in whenever we get started.
Yeah.
It's
over
not
here
clear
on
to
the
me that
YouTubes.
I'm not hearing anything on TikTok. I don't know why.
Oh,
But I think people on TikTok are actually saying it's fine.
classic. Okay.
Why can't I hear anything? That's confusing.
Okay, wait. How's this? Hello? Is this
Okay,
audible?
well, if you guys can hear, that's fine.
I had some friends over last night, and one of them beaded me a bracelet that says butt
Cute.
cheeks. I don't know if you can read that,
Beautiful.
but so nice of her. My butt cheeks bracelet. Keep that on. I'll be showing that off on all the shows today. Shout out to Katie. Thank you very much.
Butt cheeks
No, it's
bracelet.
Candace. I think it was Candace that made the bracelets. Thank you to
How
Candace.
do you not know your friend's name? That's so embarrassing.
They
It looks
all
like
make
it's working on
bracelets, and I forgot
TikTok.
which one made this one. Because Katie made me my piss and shit bracelet that I had on another show, and I think Candace made this one.
Okay, wait. So just to clarify, we're good everywhere. It's all
I
good.
think we're good everywhere.
Okay, sure.
Hell yeah.
We'll just go with it. And we'll resolve the
show-
issues as they pop up. We have about
Thanks.
2 hours or so.
Excellent. Okay, sure. Strongest theist, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, we know.
Sorry to keep you waiting so long.
You know, it's fine.
Yeah. Are you a theist? Do you believe?
So I mean, yeah. Anyways, the title said God isn't real, right? So could you prove
Yep.
that?
Yeah, let's get clear on what we mean by God. So when we say God isn't real, we're saying that like a mind that created the universe doesn't exist. Can we like agree to this definition?
A mind created the universe, and how do you cash out mind?
Just like something that has like intentionality, like intentional mental states.
Okay, like are you a functionalist about mind, computationalist? Like what's your view on the mind?
I don't take a stance on that. Do you think a mind created the universe, or are you
You're
just like here to
agnostic there.
troll? Is this like
No, I
all you
believe a
have?
mind
Do you
created
have
the
like
universe.
some substantive
No, no,
argument?
I
or-
believe in mind created the universe. Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Hold on, let's
sure.
be clear. I believe in mind created the universe, but look, like, can you prove that doesn't exist?
Yeah, sure. So in order to create the universe, it would need to be outside of the universe. That means that it would need to be outside of time because time's a part of the universe, but causes precede their effects. Therefore, it couldn't have caused the universe because it doesn't stand in temporal relations.
Fantastic, sir. That's a very strong argument. Sorry, let's just be abundantly clear here. So, all some sort of cause relation is going to require, right? It's just some priority relation. Like you want to say, you can maybe analogize it to a series, but not all series are going to be temporal. For instance, I'm sure everyone here is like a mathematical nominalist, right? So they'll be saying, you know, one is going to precede two. We're not saying, you know, when we use the successive function of 1 to 2, a temporal succession there. We're saying it's a logical succession. We're saying some sort of logical priority. So it seems like not all things that have a series or going to be in a series require temporality. Same things for God's actions, right? They're going to be ontologically prior, right? They're not going to be temporally prior.
So you don't think
The
God
question
stands
is
in a-
how you cash out
Yeah.
cause, though.
Mhm.
The question is about causes, not just about priority in some sequence, right?
Well, isn't a question rather than an argument. I'm just saying that obviously cause this instance are going to require some sort of temporal succession, or they're going to require any type of succession. It could be ontological succession, it could be Lord, I give up.
I mean, that depends on what you mean by cause, I suppose. If by cause you just mean some sort of like non-temporal succession or non-temporal priority, then perhaps you and I mean different things
I
by
mean-
cause.
When I say cause, I mean some ontology exerting such a force, right? Where some other alternative state occurs. And that could be atemporal.
So, okay, and to be clear, are you saying that God stands in like a grounding relation, or does he stand in a causal relation?
Yeah, grounding.
Okay, so then God didn't create the universe because the universe always existed, and to
Yeah,
create something is to bring it into existence.
Depends how you define create.
Oh,
I'm
we
sorry. I don't know if we're moving past this or not, but like I'm a stupid biologist, not a physicist or a philosopher. So like maybe I'm missing something. I'm still hung up on how does something create something? How does someone have a causal relationship if there is no concept of something being before something else?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be
Yeah,
an
so
issue
what we
to
want to use
actually
is actually
describe.
priority rather than before. It looks like what we actually require is like priority relations rather than saying before. Because maybe before I say some sort of temporality notation, maybe before implies time. Whereas when it comes to priority, that doesn't have to imply time. I gave you the example that mathematical numbers want to give you, right? They'd say the number one is prior to the number two. They wouldn't say it's enters like temporal succession, obviously, because they don't believe they exist.
You would
Right.
You would also
I
never say
agree.
that one causes two.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, we can agree that one comes before two, but I can't say that, like, if I was counting, that I necessarily said the number one before the number two, if there is no such thing as before. So I think the initial point that was made was that, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, I just think that the initial point that was made was that if there is such a thing as creator of the universe, this thing would necessarily exist outside of all of space. So it's in a place that isn't, and in a time that
Yeah, I
can't.
agree on that.
And I don't know even what those concepts are or how to address them in any way beyond
Sir,
just
it's
like
okay, sir.
navel gazing.
Sir, it's okay. Look, what are you trying to say to me, sir? Something along these lines, right? You're saying that because it lacks time, it can't enter causal relations, sir, because causal relations require time. This is a very common mistake people make, sir. What I'm really saying is that causal relations is going to require a series, right? We're going to be saying that the cause X is going to be prior to the effect Y. But obviously, this relation doesn't imply time, sir. That's all I'm saying,
You literally
sir. I give an
just said
example, sir.
the word prior, and what does prior mean if not before?
It just mean no, prior just means you're gonna be in some state, that's behind another thing in its in a ordering.
So when you say behind in an ordering series, what does that mean in a real sense? Because I can sit here and organize a bunch of
Real
little
sense, that's
things that
very-
have absolutely no relation to each other and say this one's behind that one. Doesn't give me any kind of causality. What you're
That's
arguing for
very
here
hard.
is necessarily causality. And causality, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I understand it, is a necessarily temporal condition.
Yeah, specifically cause and effect involve a relation between events, and events are temporal.
Yeah, I didn't say that, by the way.
Okay, do you
I just
disagree
told you
with
what
that?
cause is gonna be in my view. Yeah,
Sure.
I disagree with that heavily.
Okay, what's a cause?
What do you mean by cause?
I already told you, by the way. Just
No,
not
you
tracking.
Care to
Yeah.
repeat it then, please?
I probably could, yeah.
Okay, will you do it?
This guy's just like trolling or whatever. I'm sorry if you got like
And no one's
folded like pretty quickly, or if there's like just no substance here. Like I'm not sure what went wrong
There's
or
a lot
like,
of
why
substance
you're
here, by the
suddenly
way.
refusing to engage in the dialogue. But I'm sensing that
engage.
this is a waste of time, and I'm probably just gonna move to the next one.
Fair enough. Yeah, so there is an interesting question of
Not my
of
show, so
what-
I'm not gonna hang on. to it.
there's an interesting question of what it means, what cause means. Now, traditionally, when any normal person uses the word cause, they mean that there was something temporally before that gave rise to or that enabled the occurrence of some other thing. Now, I guess philosophically inclined theists want to say that, oh, there's some other notion of cause that I don't really know how to make sense of. Ian, do you know how to make sense of that? Like,
Not really.
What words do they usually say?
Well, okay. You need to say cause. You can't say that it's like a dependence relation, like a grounding relation in the way that you might say like the table is grounded in like the particles that compose the table. Because then at that point you're saying that God didn't create the universe out of like some free act of will. It's just that like the universe like spills forth from God's nature. So he's not really like the creator of it at that point. It's like grounded in him. So at that point, you'd have to deny that God freely chose to create the universe. You'd have to deny that probably that he even created the universe, because you'd have to hold that it always existed. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's coherent. I don't know what an atemporal cause is. That sounds like gibberish to me.
Now, before we move on, there's 3 super chats I should read, so I'm going to read them really quick. So we have $2 from Woolite Mammoth. Have you tried praying to fix the audio issues? Well, I think that they are now fixed, so I guess it worked. We have $10 from Larry Beck. Woohoo! Sunday school time. It's not my grandmom's Sunday school, of course. Yeah, that is why we do it at this time, because sometimes people want to be at church at this time, but we'd rather not. And then we have $5 from ZM. Thank you all for being here. Well, thank you. And we do have a special guest today, Forrest Valkai. If you guys are not following Forrest, I don't know how you wouldn't be following Forrest, and somehow you're following us. Forrest is kind of has been in this space much longer than either of us have been. Has a much
And
larger
doing it much
YouTube
worse.
following, I believe. Well, I don't know about that. But anyway, yeah, so Forrest is filling in for Justin today, despite the fact that Forrest is not a Bible scholar and Justin is not a biologist. So, but we'll make do.
It's a perfect trade-off.
It's great. It's great. Ian, who's our next guest? Is it Husa Meeson?
Yeah. How's it going?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm a theist. I'm 18 years old, and I want to ask, how come I'm conscious in this body? Like, what determines me being this person?
That's just a collection of things. It's if you don't mind me starting.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the brain, but yeah, please.
Yeah, it's a collection of your brain and your experiences. And so there's a great big debate about like what we talk about nature versus nurture, where there are probably some sort of traits that you may or may not be born with, but that goes there's like this epigenetic side to that, and it kind of goes quickly if you look at it too hard into a bunch of woo-woo bullshit. But then also there's your experiences in your life, the things that happen to you and the things that you do, the things you experience, the people you meet, the people you talk to, the lessons you learn. All of these things combine to produce the personality that we see before us today. And we can identify that this is more or less a material state by examining and also changing the brain and seeing what happens afterwards. So a great example of that's probably one of the most famous things whenever you start learning the basics of neuroscience, psychology, whatever, is you learn about this guy named Phineas Gage, who lived back in, I think it was the 1800s, if I remember right. And he was a railroad worker here in the United States. And he was working on this tunnel going through a mountain, building this with dynamite and steel rods. And all of a sudden there was an explosion. There was an accident at the work site, and this steel pipe gets blown straight through this guy's head. And it's going super fast, and it lightning rods through his head, and it's red hot. So it cauterizes all the way through. And basically what happens is this guy gets a lobotomy instantly. It completely blows his frontal lobe out and cauterizes the wound on the way. And so he walks out of this mine, out of this tunnel that he's just had this accident in, and goes to a doctor who doesn't, this early America, so we don't know what's going on there. And the doctor's like, yeah, go back to work, lie down tonight, go back to work tomorrow. And what happens is that this guy, who everybody knows up until this point is kind and generous and sober and timely and hardworking and punctual and nice, is now very suddenly rude and cruel and predatory and sexually perverse and lazy and all these things that he never was before. And this was the first time when neuroscientists, early biologists studying the brain, were like, hey, there's something going on with this particular part of the brain that seems to have a lot to do with controlling someone's basal instincts, making them less animal and more man, as they would call it at the time. And so this is where we learned that, like, hey, the frontal lobe actually is where you have like executive function and consequence thinking and things like that. And then we moved on from there, and we learned about different parts of the brain. And over the years, we've learned all these different parts of the brain that control different things. And when we see these different parts of the brain damage, we see different parts of your personality, different parts of your perception change. We see as dementia and whatnot progresses, we see different parts of the brain being damaged, different parts of your personality and perception and whatnot changing. We see all sorts of different experimental studies and also clinical studies showing that the brain is directly tied to the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you act, the way that you perceive the world. And we also know that you aren't going to have thoughts and experiences and patterns. It's extremely unlikely that any of those things aren't going to synchronize with the things that you're exposed to in your day-to-day life. Like I said, the people you meet, the lessons you learn. So when you ask who you are, why you are who you are, it's because of the brain you have, and it's because of the life that you lived. Does that answer your question?
I guess. I mean, it's still really confusing that other brains are made of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. The same thing, but not in the same order.
So
the same thing, but not in the same order.
So were you asking, why am I experiencing my experiences and not somebody else's?
I guess.
Isn't that question just answered by the fact, that question, at least an answer to that question, is merely your experiences are derived from your brain. Somebody else's experiences are derived from somebody else's brains, and those are separate physical things.
Yeah, the light coming off of the things that are in your perception hit the cones in your eyes, not somebody else's eyes. So because of that, they get processed by your brain, not somebody else's brain. So you have your experience and your memories that shape the way your brain is, which is why you experience being you as opposed to being somebody else.
It's also important to remember that, like, your literally the structure of your brain the actual literal structure is different than anybody else's. So when we talk about what's called neuroplasticity, what we're talking about is that the neurons, the cells that make your brain, they build and reshape connections and break old connections. They prune out stuff that you're not using and build new connections for things that you are using. And so literally the structure, the shape of the connections of your brain change over your lifetime depending upon what you're doing with your brain, what you're demanding of it. So yeah, it's not just like, oh, you're so special because you have your special brain. It's that your brain is like your fingerprint. The wrinkles and the connections and everything like that are as unique as anything else about you.
Maybe there was something deeper to your question that we're not understanding.
Yeah.
No, I feel like you answered it, but
Groovy.
yeah. All right. Well,
Hope
thank
this
you
helps.
guys.
Thank you.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
All right, we have some super chats before we move on to somebody else. Some more super chats. Thank you
chat.
guys for being generous. From MILF Wrangler, great name, with the $20. Thinking about how in the world humans went from developing stories of gods to understanding the world around us to understand the world around us to developing the actual reasons. Yet these people want to cling on to the stories. Look, people crave explanation. It's very dissatisfying to not know the answer to things. And if you don't have the tools to find the explanation, it's not so unreasonable to think that some people would come up with things that sound sensible. I mean, when we grow up, there's this powerful set of beings, we call them parents, that control the world, right? And some people transpose that idea onto the rest of the world, the natural world around them. And you can easily see how faith and religious traditions would develop that way. We just, have to kind of set aside the instinct to hold that position and actually look at the world around us. From Colton Pittman with the $2, Forrest, thank you for your evolution videos.
Hey, thank you for watching them.
And from Marquesa with the $5, is Satan real? I don't think so.
Well, it depends what you mean by
Probably not.
real.
Okay, Jordan Peterson. Okay, buddy. All right, we have another guest named by, I can't read their name because it's covered up by the bottom thing, but it starts with a K.
King Shark, maybe?
Yeah, let's bring up King Shark.
How's
King
it
Shark?
going?
That's me. I'm honored to be here talking to you guys. I'm a big fan of your content, and I follow a lot of science content, but you guys are some of the best. I wanted to bring up something that I always think about when I hear these debates about creationism and God, and I feel like a lot of the arguments in favor of God go back, reasonably or not, to this idea of the kind of, because the universe exists, it must have been created.
I'm so sorry. Am I having a series of
No,
stroke?
no,
What's going on with the...
No. King Shark, your audio connection.
Is my audio not working?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
something
it's-
very wrong. It's like you're turning on
It's like you become a frog
Is this any better if
every
I
few
have
seconds.
both?
So this is a known connection issue. So if your connection's not particularly strong, it'll do this.
Yeah, you might want
off
to turn the video off.
Yeah, and it might be okay.
Yeah, turning video off is a great way to increase your connectivity.
All
Do I
right, try
sound any
again.
better now?
Seems
We'll
to
see.
be.
We'll hope
All
so.
right, good. All right, let's see if I can get this across, and hopefully it won't be in a froggy voice.
Wait a minute, hold on, King. Sorry, I have to ask. Are you an atheist?
Yes.
Oh, well, we are looking for opposition only. So apologies to do this for you. I know you've been waiting for a while, but we are going to move on to another caller because we do have a guest who is not an atheist. And here is not the place. We try to avoid the circle jerk.
Yeah.
He seemed
Oh,
really
sorry to do
nice
that to you.
for
He
a
does-
frog person.
We totally agree.
I mean, generally, frog people are great people.
Yeah.
They
I,
live
for
in a
one,
swamp
really like the
and-
French.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there. Joe. I think we have Joe up next.
Oh, no. Joe, I can't hear
you,
your
Joe.
audio. You might need to refresh, Joe.
Joseph.
If you want to refresh the page, it'll take you like 5 seconds, and then we'll be first in queue. I don't think you selected the right audio. But hey, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, doing all that good stuff that gets it shared out with the community. Joe, are you there? Joe, there's still something deeply wrong. I think you selected the
Come
wrong
on.
option.
Joe's been waiting for a long time. I want to hear you, man.
You didn't select the
And-
microphone, is what it says.
Can you select the
wait.
microphone for him?
Wait, Joe, keep saying words. See, okay, wait. So it says iPhone mic. Do you have headphones by any chance, Joe?
He's wearing headphones.
Maybe unplugging them? Perhaps.
In the meantime, I'm looking over here at the chat, both on YouTube and on TikTok, and boy, we got a lot of people who should really call in.
Yeah.
They tend to like to stay in the chat, you know?
I'm just saying, if you've come here to preach, you've got a platform. There's a bunch of people watching this right now.
Like
And
a
you could
1,000
share
or so.
You could share your message with like 1,000 people, and then we could talk about it seriously. And if you have something reasonable to say, we want to hear it. I'd be down for it.
Joe, how's it going?
Nope, still can't hear you.
Joe. God damn it.
All right, well, let's let Joe figure out his audio issue and let's bring on George really quick.
George, how's it going?
Okay.
George B, are you there?
George.
It's issues
It
all the way
says-
down.
George, it says that George is still muted.
Yeah. Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you
Yes.
now. Great.
Oh, thank God.
Praise Gilgamesh.
All right.
Hail Satan.
Praise you. All right. That's okay.
All right.
All right.
Let's not get too crazy.
Yeah, you know. But anyways, I am a Christian. Yeah, my name is George. I am a Christian. I do believe in holiness. I have a very specific religion, me personally. I don't believe in Christianity or Judaism.
Didn't
Well,
you just say
I
you're
do
a
believe
Christian?
in the Jewish God.
I feel like
Didn't
we've
you
already
say you're a
arrived at a
Christian?
I feel like we've already arrived at a contradiction.
Well, I
Well, it's
feel
not
like
really
he's going to say, you're going to say the thing where it's like, I'm not a Christian. I have a relationship with God or a relationship with Jesus. That kind of thing.
No, I would say that I actually rep the set of Jesus Christ, and I believe that a lot of people are fakers. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so you are the real kind of Christian, and all the other Christians are wrong.
Well, I'm still waiting upon the Holy Ghost speaking with new tongues as the Spirit of God gives utterance. But yes, I would consider myself as signing up as to be a Christian.
So just to be clear, there are over 40,000 denominations of Christianity. You are the one that gets this stuff right, and you have a unique method that is helping you understand the reality of Christianity. Whereas,
No,
just like all the other 39,999 that all say you're wrong, you say that all of them are wrong.
No, I don't believe in Christianity point blank. It's not biblical.
Okay.
Okay, so you do believe in the Bible then?
Yeah, I believe fully in the Bible. Yeah.
Fully. Okay, so just to be clear, just a couple of follow-up questions just to make sure we're on the same page. Do you believe that the Bible is literally true in whole, in part? Do you think word for word reading is accurate, or do you think it needs to be interpreted? Like, give me a brief breakdown of that.
Yeah, so me personally, I do go by the KJV specifically because I do appeal to authority.
I got one right
believe
next
that it's perfectly done. It's perfectly written, me personally. And yes, it is the infallible word of God, translated from the Masoretic Hebrew and then the Greek Textus Receptus.
So I
fabulous.
just,
Okay,
just
we can
have
go
like
into
a
that
couple
in a
of
minute.
In English.
clarifications really quick. So you go by scripture alone?
Yeah, I'm like.
So you
I'm-
might say
I'm an
that your
extremist.
like sole source is
Yeah, I'm an
scripture, like
extremist.
sola scriptura, maybe,
Yeah, like I'm an extremist when it comes
like
to
Protestantism.
scripture. No. I fully deny Protestantism.
Okay,
Like, I am a
sure.
Protestant of every religion, right? By by the definition itself.
All right, George, we are we're way off, not way off topic, but okay, we know what your beliefs are roughly. Why should we think that a Christian God exists?
Okay, so the reason why I would believe that a Christian God exists is essentially because, as we can see in society, we utilize speech to be able to do things, right? And the Christian God that I believe in is the God of speech, right? He spoke things. He spoke invisible thing and made it visible. That's objectivity, right? He objectively made our reality, our world that we live in through the power of speech. And I believe that, consciousness is the source of our universe. I don't believe that essentially the universe had no consciousness and brought forth consciousness, that would mean that
So-
we're smarter than the universe.
Sorry, I apologize for interrupting you, Justin, but it's just you're telling us what you believe, and I think what we were asking is like, why should we believe in this thing? So like, I can sit here and tell you everything that I don't believe in, and it doesn't do us any good. I would love to dig into like why you think exactly what you think, because I've read your Bible. I've got one right here in front of me, and it has a ton of errors and issues in it, and the God that's described in it simply isn't worth worshiping. So even if it was real, I would never be a fan. And so like I'm curious to know why you hold the specific beliefs that you do, rather than what your sermon is about.
Okay, perfect. So can you, with that same Bible that you have, maybe please, if you can read it, Leviticus 19 and at verse 2.
Happily.
And while we're doing this, will this Bible verse convince somebody who doesn't already believe to believe?
I mean, I'll first and foremost, belief is really upon oneself, right? I can't really force no one to believe anything.
No,
But
but
it
you
would
can,
give you,
you can provide compelling arguments.
Yeah, it's not
right?
what
Yeah,
I'm asking.
it'll be a compelling argument why
Okay.
not to believe in it.
Oh, wait, in Leviticus, you're going to give us a compelling argument why we shouldn't believe?
Well, Leviticus and 1 Peter 1 and at verse 16, just to like obviously.
Why are you going
combine
to
the
give us
Old
an
Testament.
argument to not believe?
So-
because we
so
already
I've
don't
got-
believe.
No, to believe.
Okay, sure.
You said
ahead.
19. You said Leviticus 19:2.
Yeah, 19 and at verse 2.
Okay.
And then
Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy.
okay, perfect. So would you say that being righteous, holy, right? Because holy is righteous. Would you say that that would be a bad thing for human society to, put in their own lives, to be righteous?
So I would disagree that the word righteous and holy are synonymous. And so I would say that I think it is very reasonable to say that human society should try to be righteous. I think that's great. I do not think we should try to be holy, because holiness, especially the holiness depicted in this Bible, especially even in the same book, Leviticus, that we're reading out of right now, is certainly not something that we should ever strive for.
And
Well,
beyond that, like
Mm-hmm.
the verse itself is saying like, you should be holy because God is real.
Yeah.
Or you
No,
should
no,
be
because
righteous
God is
because God is real. Right, but we don't think that God exists. So like,
And also,
Oh,
this
just to be
verse doesn't
clear,
do much for us.
And also, just to be clear, the God of the Bible is certainly not love. In fact, he himself says differently several times.
Well, the thing is, I believe that he is love, and he also demonstrates tough love, right? And that tough love, unfortunately, because of our disobedience, he still has to apply righteous justice and law, right? And the reason why I
So
would
just to be
consider you
clear,
guys to believe in God.
We're
is that-
talking about. I just want to be clear here. We're talking about this part that says that I am God, I am holy, and so you should try to be holy too, right? And this is
Oop, hello?
Okay, I thought it was me. Oh my days. Okay, so it's him, right?
Jeez, what happened to Forrest?
yeah, we just lost Forrest. I don't know what happened to Forrest, but I guess we can continue. So look, the question is like
Are we
neither
back?
Ian nor I nor Forrest
we alive?
take- You're
Yeah,
back.
you're back.
So
Okay.
So none of the three of us take the Bible really seriously as like
Sorry,
as like all the sentences being true. No, you're fine, Forrest. So like
Okay.
citing verses in the Bible will not be particularly compelling unless you can connect those verses with real world things that we agree happened.
Yeah, perfect.
Since-
So with real
Since I
world,
came-
right? Oh yeah,
sorry. Since I came back, I have a whole thing. Whenever we have a second, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'll wait for him to respond to you. I don't want to interrupt what he was just saying.
Okay.
Oh, I was just waiting on you. You said yes.
Sure.
I mean,
so
I
I was
completely forgot. Yeah.
we were talking about Leviticus, and you brought up Leviticus 19:2 to say that this God is holy. God says, "Hey, I'm God. I'm holy. Everybody else should be holy too." And then you equated that to being righteous and said that everybody should be righteous. The issue I'm having is that in Leviticus, the same book, skip forward 3 pages or 4 pages, go to Leviticus 25. That exact same God is explaining how to keep slaves, and not saying don't own slaves, but is
What was
telling
the verse?
Leviticus 25, specifically verses 44 through 46, the ones that I have highlighted, because God gives specific rules for Hebrew slaves as opposed to non-Hebrew slaves, whereas he says with Hebrew slaves, you have to let them go after, I think, 7 years, and it's basically like an indentured servitude thing, unless the caveat here is the male slaves that come in, if you give them a wife and they have children, then the wife and children remain your slaves forever. They are your property. And then the male slave, if he wants to keep the wife and children, has to profess that he loves his master, have a spike driven through his ear, and then he is also your slave forever. For non-Hebrew slaves, or the slaves you buy from the heathen among you, like it says, those are always your property forever. They are to be passed down to your children as property. There's specific rules on how to beat them. If you beat them so hard that they die within 2 days, that's a problem. But if they don't, that's not a problem. About keeping slaves?
Well, first and foremost, to beating them, you know?
Yeah, let me find that one, because I've only got this one here about slavery in general.
Wait, but I don't negate the fact, but sir, I don't negate the fact that obviously, like Abraham, you know, he had bondmaids and obviously served people that served him, you know, slaves. I don't.
So this is
So
Exodus and Leviticus talk about slavery quite a bit. The part about beating them is in Exodus chapter 21. Let me find it in your version here. 21 verse 20. If a man smite his slave, his male slave or female slave, with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if he continues a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. So he's saying that this law here, if you beat a slave and they don't die within 2 days, it's okay.
What does it say?
Because they are your property.
He says he died. He says
it says in verse 20. If in verse 20, if you smite your servant with a rod and he dies under your hand, he shall be punished. Verse 21, notwithstanding, if he lives a day or two, you shall not be punished, because he is your, in my version it says you are his money. In this version over here, in the New International Version, it says slaves are your property. So money, property, it's the same thing in this case.
What? But I don't negate the fact that obviously in the Old Testament they had slaves. Like I'm very confused.
Yes, they had slaves, and God commanded that.
I'm very confused. So does he command them to be righteous with their slaves, or to be
I think that there's no. I just want to be clear. I don't think that there is a way to be righteous as a slave owner.
Yeah,
I don't think slavery is a righteous thing.
I think there's exactly one righteous thing you can do, which is immediately, instantly free your slaves. And every moment, every millisecond you're not doing that, you're failing your moral obligations. You're not being righteous.
Right.
Wait, I apologize. Would you say that people that work in day-to-day lives are considered to be slaves to their own work?
Absolutely not.
Well, by definition,
Okay, can you tell me? Can you please substantiate?
Can you tell me
like those that don't want to work?
Can you give me any example of a day-to-day 9-to-5 job where you are someone's property to be passed down to their children, and it's okay to beat you?
Well, first and foremost, where does it say it's okay to beat? It clearly says, sir, as it is written, as you read, it says, and if a man smite his servant, comma, or his handmaid, comma, with a rod, comma, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Where does it? Like, I'm
what's the next verse? What's the verse that comes right after that? Could
also,
you mind reading one verse forward?
I don't understand, George, how you think that it's. Yes, I don't understand how you think it's okay. I don't understand how you think it's okay to beat someone with a rod as long as they don't die. Can you please tell me any employment? Can you tell me any job? Can you tell me any job you can have where you were allowed to be beaten with a rod and passed down to children as property?
I apologize. I'm very confused. Where does it allow? It says, and if a man smite his servant, right? Not, I allow you to smite your servant, right? If a man smite his servant or his handmaid with a rod, and he died under his hand.
You're saying that because God doesn't expressly say you may beat someone, that he is not allowing it.
I don't think he allowed it point blank, you know?
Meanwhile, he does say exactly where to get the slaves. He does say that they are your property to be passed down to your children forever.
What are you talking about?
And
These are judgments.
And also, he does go out of his way to give explicit instructions not to wear garments of mixed fabrics, not to shave the side of your beard and trim the sides of your hair, not to eat shellfish, not to touch the skin of a dead pig, to honor your father and mother. He gives explicit instructions over all sorts of things about how to plant your crops and what clothes to wear, but he couldn't find the time to say, don't use human beings as farming equipment. Why? It's because this is a product of the time.
So George,
back in those days.
George, the way that we typically interpret laws, and Leviticus is a book of laws, right? The way that we typically interpret laws is that laws are made to, or a law will be made, and then when that law is made, the thing that it outlaws becomes criminal. Everything else that's not outlawed is legal. That's the point.
But sir, you're
that's how we
with the verse. Verse is judgment.
The point is Leviticus outlines a lot of laws about what to do and what not to do, and so there are obligations.
Context is
George,
law?
please, George. Of course, it's absolutely law.
Can you read? Can you read verse 1?
Verse 44. Verse 44 is literally a law, right? It tells you what to do if such a thing happened. Almost the entirety of Leviticus is laws.
On the
That's
book.
the whole business.
Literally,
It's the Levitical laws.
I mean, like,
sir, can you read verse 1? Just verse 1.
So I don't have it up right now. I don't.
Wait, which one? Leviticus 25:1?
No, Exodus 21 and that verse 1.
We're not talking about Exodus. We're talking about Leviticus.
Well, okay.
Exodus 21 verse 1. Exodus 21 verse 1 says, "These are judgments which you shall set before them."
Okay, so is this law? Is this law, sir? Once again,
we're talking about
you away. I'm going to finish this sentence if it kills you, George. That doesn't get you away from verse 44 of Leviticus 25, which says, "Your male slaves and your female slaves, which you may have," God says, "shall come from the heathen around you." So clearly God is saying you can have slaves, and you are arguing with us over a different book where he says that you can't beat them too hard, and you're arguing over whether that's a judgment or a law or what. Meanwhile, the actual statement from God is, here's where you can buy your slaves from, and then the next verse says they are your property. You can pass them along to your children.
Like, one thing I'm very confused is, okay, like, you're making it seem as if Egyptians didn't have slaves. You're making it seem as if
how many people, George, how many people?
Is the immorality if God is holy?
How many people?
Slaves?
There you go. There you go. This is exactly why. This is exactly why, George. A minute ago, you brought up that verse and said that it says that God says we must be holy, and is it not good to strive for holiness? That right there is why I said no. I think it's good to be righteous. I don't think it's good to be holy, because holiness and righteousness are not the same thing. Because I, as a righteous person, would never own slaves because I'm not a piece of shit. You, however, are making apologetics for slavery because your God says it.
Okay, I apologize. What's the difference between a boss and owning workers and a slave master owning slaves?
The boss doesn't own you. Good question.
Yeah.
Also, bosses pay their workers. Bosses pay their workers, and workers can quit and leave.
Yeah.
I apologize. Okay. Like,
they are paid. They can leave if they want to. They are not property. They're passed down to someone's children. They're not allowed to when they misbehave. They are not bred for productivity.
You're not reading it. You need glasses. I apologize. You need glasses.
I'm talking about
God
slavery,
is not making this a law.
because you, George, are pretending that there's no difference between slavery and having a job. That's the moral and intellectual pretzel you're having to twist yourself in to accommodate for the monster that you worship.
Wait, I apologize. What was the monstrous thing that he said? He said to own them. Did he say to beat them?
Saying to own them is the monstrous thing.
It's monstrous.
I'm very confused. Okay.
Where's the monstrous thing in owning people as property? Where's the monstrous thing?
What a fucking weird position to have to take.
No, but in the Old Testament, we're talking about the Old Testament, right? We are.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
When did Jesus say in the New Testament
back then?
When did Jesus say in the New Testament, don't own slaves?
Okay, perfect. Okay, wait, I'm very confused. What is your definition of a slave? Why in your definition a slave?
You can answer my question, George. When did Jesus say not to own slaves in the New Testament?
When did Jesus
Where did he say slavery is wrong?
Yeah, I mean, he said, where did he say that slavery is wrong? Like, but what is the definition of slavery? You're making it seem as if you're a slave to someone, if
Let's just go with the simplest. Let's just go with the simplest definition. Having a master and being owned as property is wrong. Owning human beings as property is wrong. Where did Jesus say that?
Okay, Jesus says to be holy, right? In the New Testament. If you own a slave,
So the answer is never.
To the slave. Wait, I'm very confused.
The answer is never.
I'm very confused.
And
if
the
you're
fact,
owning a slave, Abraham had slaves.
George, that you think it is possible, the fact that you think it is possible to be holy and good and own slaves betrays your entire position. That you think slavery is good.
I apologize. Okay, so
George, can I give you an analogy? George, can I give you an analogy?
But you guys are making it seem as if it's unrighteous.
George, can I give you an analogy?
I'm making it seem like it's not righteous to own slaves? You're goddamn right I am.
So George, would you say that it's possible
you have no
to be a
money
good person?
to even own them? That's the thing.
George,
you have no money to even own them, you know?
George, would you say that you could be a good person while also, like, I don't know, keeping children, like, locked up in your basement?
Where does it say that they're locked up in their basement?
It's an analogy.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that this is the thing that happens in the Bible.
That was a conditional.
First of all,
asking
that's
if this was the case, could you be a good person?
And can you answer the question?
Now here we go with George dodging the question.
Well, sir, you're putting, once again, we're in the new world, right?
Wait, so George, can you answer the question, please?
That'll be weird.
Weird?
If I put children inside of my house and they're not mine, that is weird, obviously.
I agree, it's weird.
Oh,
but
you mean like slaves?
It's a bit more than weird. It's deeply immoral, is what it is.
Do you think that you can be a good person while also keeping children locked up in your basement?
Yeah.
First and foremost,
he's not going to answer.
No,
this is such an easy answer. Just say yes. Just say no.
I'm going to completely answer you. I will.
It's a yes or no question.
Let's say hypothetically, I would feed them. Like, you're making it seem as if you. Wait.
The children that I keep.
Slow down.
I feed them.
No, slow down.
I wouldn't beat them too hard. I'd make sure that they'd be able to walk.
I'd make them grilled cheeses and they could be the best prisoners I've ever had.
No. If it's an orphan, right? If it's an orphan.
Why are they locked up in your basement?
What are you talking about? I won't keep them locked up. You want to keep them locked up?
That's the hypothetical.
Oh my God.
That's the hypothetical.
Where do
you be a good person while having children locked up in your basement?
This is so easy.
I don't see nothing.
The answer is obvious.
No, but I'm very confused. You open it up.
We know you're very confused.
Right? And you let them outside. Like, what are you saying?
I'm not talking about slaves. I'm not talking about slaves.
But are you saying in your hypothetical, they're trapped inside that room?
Yes, they're locked outside in your basement. Yes, they're locked.
Yeah, there's nothing righteous with that. They need sunlight. Where do you see Abraham keeping them as dogs?
That's the problem. George, the problem is that they didn't get sunlight.
George, you're not understanding. The point is, George, would you say that owning slaves is generally bad?
I don't believe that owning slaves is generally bad. No.
Oh, then we got to it.
Okay,
confused.
Moving on to the next.
At the end of the day,
Joe.
That's what I've been saying this whole time. At the end of the day, his position is slavery's good sometimes. Fuck you and the God you worship, you immoral piece of shit. This is why we can't have good discourse. This is why I won't take you or your evil ass book seriously, because it condones slavery front to back, because it's anti-woman front to back, because it's hateful and misogynistic and ridiculous and scientifically inaccurate and full of contradictions and obvious lies. If you give me a book that says genocide is good as long as it's against the right people, I'm not going to worship the evil ass God that it believes in. Fuck you and your God, George. Grow a spine and a heart and a brain and call back sometime.
Mm-hmm. We have some super chats to read. The first is from the ungoogleable man with 5 Canuck bucks. Forrest, please sing. Gunter, why did you gunt my friend? I gunted them and they were mine. Gunter, do you even gunt me? Is this a reference that I'm missing?
It's just he just took the "Daddy, Do You Eat My Fries" song and replaced it with Gunter, which is another character from the show.
Okay. Well, it's a request. If you don't want to honor the singing request, you don't have to.
Gunter, why did you gun for me? Do the whole Ice King voice and everything. I don't know.
All right. So from Ruler Watchman with the $10, love and watch all you guys on YouTube and TikTok, including Justin and Peterson. Well, look, there's like a little community that's building up here, I guess. From I Am the Big Cheese with the $10, read Acts 4:32 through 5:11 for crazy cult vibes. Must give all possessions to church. Couple keep some money. Equals instant death. Not even Moses' law asked that. I thought Jesus was about love. Check it out. Fire emoji.
Isn't that the part where they're describing like the perfect Christian society in Acts, and it talks about how nobody ever wants for anything because everything is shared amongst them, and they basically describe communism and there's a little bit of Christianity in there. If I remember right, I gotta. What verse did they say? 25 something.
It's Acts what?
Acts 4:32.
Acts 4:32. Let me double check because I think that's the same one I'm talking about.
To 5:11.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up on my own time. You guys can keep reading.
Okay. Then we have The Nightman Cometh with $5. Is it bad to keep kids locked in your basement if you feed them soup? Related question. Have you all seen the movie Weapons?
They only need sunlight and soup, y'all. That's all you need. It's not bad anymore.
Sunlight and soup. And then from Decoy, I think we lost Forrest again. From Decoy with the $5, the Bible is a vehicle to make people feel better about hating others. I don't know if that was the original intent. I think the Bible was originally, at least the Hebrew Bible was originally intended to provide a unifying nationalist story for a group of people that were otherwise disparate. The Christian Bible, probably something similar, but it's definitely been warped into that. Yeah. Anyway, Forrest will come back eventually. Let's bring up Joe. Hopefully Joe's audio is working now.
Joe, how's it going?
Oh, we still got nothing.
Joe, this is so sad. Maybe
I feel so sad for you.
Hello? Joe?
Joseph Robinette Biden.
Can you believe that his middle name is Robinette?
I know. It's so funny. All right. Well, we have a guest named Monroe who can come up.
Monroe, how's it going? Monroe, hello?
Monroe. Well, Forrest is back. Can't hear him, though.
Oh, that's right. I got it on mute. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Hey, currently
Monroe.
all the people who have joined are having severe audio issues. So if you want to debate God's existence, that is, you think a mind created the universe, you want to come
Check
talk.
your mic and call us in.
Yeah. Make sure that you have the silly green bar that's going back and forth and the little join screen to guarantee that it's going to work. The link is behind us. It's also in the bio. Join as guest, tinyurl.com/UA guest. We would love
So we
to
have
see you
two
there.
new super chats. One from Liz Skeptical Cryptid with the $5. Thank you so much, by the way, for the generosity. Haha, at Forrest, fake fan. Ice King sings that version about Gunter. Love your content, man. Forrest, do you have anything to say to defend yourself?
I must not have seen that episode. I have no excuse. I am a massive piece of shit.
He
Shame
sings
on
it
you, shame on your family.
episode 4 or episode in season 4, episode 23. I remember you. Is when he sings.
Wow, Ian, real fan here. And then we actually have $5 from Dean Withers. You guys probably know who Dean is. Would you guys be down for a special guest one of these days? I'd love to debate these really smart people with y'all. Yeah, I mean, typically when one of our regular hosts is not here, we will absolutely bring on a guest host just for the funsies. That's why Forrest is here, because Justin couldn't make it today. So yeah, we'd be happy to bring you along. And then from 8-hour mod man with the $5. If the Bible is high school reading level and most people read below 6th grade level, it explains these colors. Fair point. It's not most, it's 50% roughly. That's the median, I believe. Right, so Joe is back. Hopefully we can bring Joe up.
Joe,
I would love to talk to Joe. Joe's been here forever, and I want to hear what you're saying.
I know.
Can you guys hear
Is
me?
that a sound?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Joe.
Baruch Hashem.
Oh, please don't tell me you like slavery.
No, I do not. I do not like slavery. No,
Hell yeah.
We stand a man who doesn't like slavery.
slavery says slavery's not so cool. So basically, you guys, it's a pleasure. I've been waiting for a long time. You guys seem really smart. And I was just curious, when you guys say God doesn't exist, are you guys referring to the God of the Bible, or are you referring to any type of creationist type of situation?
Just a mind that created the universe doesn't exist.
Okay,
Yeah, me
cool. So,
specifically, I would say any kind of God, and I love the idea of saying it doesn't exist when you're framing it that way that Ian is. But for me, I would just say there's no good reason to believe in any kind of creative force, any kind of God.
Mhm.
oh, okay, cool. Me
I take
personally,
a softer position.
all right, yeah, that's fair. Me personally, I'm Jewish, but when it comes to the Torah, you know what I'm saying, there's obviously, you know, a lot of things in there that, you know, are very questionable. And so that's why I'm very like on the fence, agnostic with that, I'd say. Kind of, I'm like, could exist, could not exist. But for sure, definitely I'm more leaning to there is a creator of some sorts, like an intelligence that created the universe. And also it happens to be that it's just very convenient for me. For my type of personality, I guess it just helps me from day-to-day life to think that there's somebody watching over me and to have a relationship with the creator and whatnot. But the reason why I believe that there is a creator is because the universe just seems so intricate to like in every single level, whether it's like microscopic or, you know, on the huge scale, like in, you know, the cosmos. It seems to me that it's like, it's very hard to believe that there's no intelligent creator, because I think that humans are an example of intelligent life that exists within the universe that creates. So that already is an example that it's possible for it to exist, intelligent creation. So that's why I'm leaning more towards the fact that there is an intelligent creator that could have, I'm not saying for sure, I'm saying could have, more leaning towards created all of this.
Mhm. And maybe to get
Okay.
a bit more clear on like your hypothesis, would you say that God created the universe specifically for humans, or do you have is there a stance that you take as to why God chose to create the universe as opposed to not choosing to create the universe?
No, I have no reason for it. I don't necessarily know. It could range from many things. Could be he was bored. Could be he's just really nice and wanted, you know, other beings to experience creation like he experiences it. It could be that we are God and we are experiencing ourselves. It could be a plethora of reasons. Yeah.
Why he?
That's because society.
Right.
That's just
So-
that's society.
Okay.
We appreciate the honesty, surely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the immediate question that I have is just like what you've described here is the idea that this thing could exist, and I agree entirely. Yeah, this thing could exist, totally. And I love the analogy of saying
Maybe
like
epistemically.
we exist as things that can create stuff. So maybe there's some other thing that can create stuff. Sure, but like the issue that I have is, number one, you have a ton of baggage that comes along with that, depending on what you are going to shape that as. Is this God intelligent? Is this God active in our lives day to day? Is this a deistic God that just farted out the universe and fucked off? Or is this a theistic God that's really involved all the time? Each of these brings their own problems that you then have to justify. And more than anything, you have to justify the fact that you're saying this could, and now you're expanding that into I believe it does. And that,
Joe,
to
quick
me, there's
question.
lots of things that could happen. I don't think any of them do. What are you saying, Blitz? I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're fine. Joe, quick question. What, I don't want to say branch. Yeah, what branch of Judaism do you most closely align with? You sound like Reform or like,
I'm not
Reconstructionist, but the at least that's the way that it sounds. But then you also said Baruch Hashem earlier, which makes me think like perhaps more modern Orthodox or something like this.
Yeah, more modern Orthodox. Yeah,
and the reason I ask is because if you take the modern Orthodox approach, it seems like that you're kind of, well, I mean, you're not obligated to do anything, of course, but it seems like that at least the modern Orthodox view is more closely aligned with what people would consider classical theism, where you have a personal divine being that is personally responsible for creating the universe, but you don't seem to hold that view. Would that be a correct understanding of your views in contrast with, say, modern Orthodox?
It's a little bit more, definitely modern Orthodox would not agree with what I'm saying. What I'm saying, more like conservative and Reform would agree with what I'm saying. However, I do think that the lifestyle, for me personally, is more beneficial to be within the modern Orthodox community. Yeah,
that's that I can understand. Like tradition is tradition, culture is culture.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
But so so the world, so you would take your theology as more of kind of like, maybe not mystical is the right word, but more spiritual. Is that kind of more closely aligned with what
not
you're doing?
necessarily. It's just from what I see in the universe, you know, on Earth, obviously, not Cosmos, whatever, and the Cosmos too. Listen, from, you know, documentaries and stuff like that, YouTube videos, it's very compelling that there is some sort of intelligence in the universe. And, you know, like I said earlier, me being an example of it, and as Forrest said earlier, that, you know, it obviously comes with a lot of baggage. Is this creator intelligent? Is this creator just somebody who just farted the universe out and just let it be, you know? And I don't think you necessarily need an answer for that. I only think you need an answer for that when you strictly adhere to like specific religions, like let's say Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Then you need to have like some sort of rationalization or argument for that, or else why do you believe that? Correct. So
well, yeah, so that was the point of me asking the question, right? Because if you do consider yourself modern Orthodox, then it seems like you would have these beliefs about what this thing is, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I would say that I more personally believe, like me, that God is just a, you know, intelligent creator that could or could not be involved with our day-to-day lives. I don't know, but I'm hoping that is the case, because, you know, that's what I would like, you know, that's in my ideal world. And the reason why I'm in Orthodoxy is because I happen to think that in modern day, it's the best for raising a family. That's really what I mean.
There's a whole separate conversation to be had there, but I don't think that that's relevant to this conversation, right?
Yeah. I hear that for sure. And I think it's from person to person, and it's not a blanket statement for everybody.
Sure.
Okay.
So one of the things that you said is that you see intelligence around us. So you look around at the world, the universe, whatever, and you see intelligence. So I want to push back on that, because I think that it's really hard for us to tell without background knowledge. It's really hard for us to tell if something was, say, intelligently created or is organized or orderly by something that made it that way, some intelligent being, or if it's that way because the laws of the universe happen to be that way. So the example I often bring up is a crystal. A crystal can form in a cave on its own. Water dripping, and there's some thermodynamics that happens, and you get this really elegant thing. And if you don't think too hard about it, then you end up thinking, oh, well, I mean, this thing is so orderly, it's so perfect, it must have been created. But we actually know how they're made. We know how they form naturally, and it doesn't really require a designer or an intelligence behind it. So my question is what is the criterion that you use to determine that there is intelligence behind the universe rather than just the universe being intelligible?
So what is the difference between, sorry, my vocabulary is not so good, the universe being intelligible and there is an intelligent creator behind that? What's the difference?
Yeah, so intelligibility is about our understanding or our ability to understand it. And an intelligence behind it is about the intelligibility of the universe being intentional.
Okay.
Right? And so the position of most, I shouldn't say most atheists, but many kind of like standard atheists, if you will be something like, look, our universe is intelligible, but that's not because there was intention behind it. That intelligibility doesn't require intention. So my question is, how do you go from intelligibility to intention?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure, no problem. You know, just trying to use logic and analogies, you know, which Jews are known for. And I'm assuming you're Jewish and Ian's also Jewish.
I'm not Jewish.
Nice.
Well, don't do that. Don't do that, Joe. Well, Joe. Okay, look, Joe's allowed to do it because Joe's also Jewish. But you can't just because Ian has curly hair, you can't.
I was born and raised Christian. I was like evangelical.
Nothing. Maybe in like somebody, grandfather.
Don't do the physiognomy.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not gonna go into those details.
I apologize.
So Joe,
I don't have what's the Tolkien quote? It's like, I don't have the honor of being a part of that esteemed group of people.
Yeah.
It's all good. I apologize.
So I went to Jewish day school for most of my life, and I was bar mitzvahed and all this stuff. I'm from. Anyway, go ahead.
Nice, awesome. All right. So the reason why is because, like, let's say if I spilled ink, right? Let's say if I spilled ink and it created a I don't know, a symphony, right? Like a Beethoven, right? And I said it happened by accident, right? There was no meaning behind it. There was no intelligence behind it. It just happened. Fine. Yeah. That's it could happen. Yeah, maybe it's very unlikely, but for sure, it could happen. But if it keeps happening again, and I've seen many examples of that, if like throughout my life, let's say within a day, right, I bump into like several things, right, several batches of ink, and I create several pieces of music, right, sheets of music that are like comparable to Beethoven, then it would become even less believable that this happened by accident. And like you said, there was an example of the crystals forming with the water and everything, and they look really beautiful, and it looks like that it's intelligible, but there was not. But we see that there's not necessarily an intelligent creator behind it. Sure, yeah, but the problem is, for me personally, is that I see too many examples of this within the universe, where there's too many things that quote unquote happen by accident that happen to be very perfect and have perfect symmetry, and even like the mathematics of it is like perfect and everything like that, that it becomes less and less likely that it's just something that's unintelligible. And then it brings me more to the conclusion that the universe itself is intelligent, and that the universe, which I mean basically God, the universe is God, right, in a way where it's like, the universe is intelligent.
So the issue that I have with your analogy here is that, like, I would expect if every time I bumped into some ink, it produced a symphony, then that would be reason for me to say, okay, so a symphony is a stochastic thing. This is something that can just happen. And then I would be interested in finding the natural processes that allow that, like the crystal. If I just find a crystal on the ground, I would be reasonable to say, oh my God, look at the perfect shape and all this exact angle at a microscopic level. There's these perfect angles and edges, and this must be designed, until I find the 50th one on the ground. And then I go to a cave and I say, okay, here's actually the chemistry behind it. So what you're describing, it in my opinion, tells me, okay, if I do this, I get this. This means this is no longer miraculous. And so similarly, if I look at life, I know these are the things that cause it to evolve in these ways. It is, largely predictable in this way. It's no longer a mystery where biodiversity comes from. If I talk about abiogenesis, okay, I look at these individual macromolecules and I know where they're coming from. I know how they're forming. It's no longer a magical thing. I look at the way planets form, the way galaxies form, the way stars form, whatever. These are all concepts that we can now sort of, demystify with real science. And so I no longer have to look at the universe around me and go, oh my goodness, there was just this explosion and then all this stuff happened. There must be somebody guiding it. No, I don't know what started this, but I know what happened right afterwards. And everything else that follows it seems to be a pretty logical trajectory based on the rules of the universe. So either A, the universe is God, like you say, everything is combined under some control. Or I think a much more reasonable and much simpler explanation is shit happens. And there seems to be some sort of order, and I'm not sure why, and I want to know someday. You're by adding this concept, this convoluted addition that everything is now God. You're not getting away from the baggage you're carrying. You're digging yourself further into it, because now you have to justify all of that and also some sort of sentience to all of that. You have to show me that there's such a thing as intelligence and thinking and planning and design, all absent of matter. Like that's a lot on your plate, as opposed to just saying, I don't know where this shit comes from, but it seems to follow some rules.
Yeah, and if I could like piggyback onto that, maybe we could approach this from the perspective of Occam's razor, that we should prefer the simpler explanations, all else equal. You and I both believe that the laws of physics are things that exist, and that the laws of physics are going to be able to explain the phenomena or like the various phenomena that we see around us. We both believe in the laws of physics, and the laws of physics explain the complexity and nature that we see. But then you want to add an additional thing on top of it. You want to add God. But if we can explain all of this with just the laws of physics, then there's no reason to explain it with the laws of physics and God. It seems like a superfluous addition.
Joe, you there? Oh,
What?
there you go. Give him a sec,
Joe?
he might be back. It's been finicky today, so. In fact, we just lost both of our guests.
Jesus, what the fuck is going on? Hopefully they'll be back.
It is that exactly that. It's Jesus. Jesus is fighting back.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, he was Jewish. He doesn't care for Jesus, right? Welcome back, Joe.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. My internet connection.
That's all right.
Oh, good.
It happens. Did you
Yes,
catch
you're saying?
the
Sorry,
end of
Ian.
that?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Did you catch the end of what Ian was saying?
No, I didn't catch the end. No, sorry.
Ian, you want to repeat?
Yeah, just that we should operate under like an Occam's razor style paradigm. We should, if we can explain everything with just the laws of physics, because you and I are both going to believe in the laws of physics. We're both going to believe that they explain like the various things around us. If we can explain the stuff with just the laws of physics, then there's no reason to explain the stuff with the laws of physics and then also God for some reason. It's an addition that doesn't get you any more explanatory power. Like it doesn't explain anything that the laws of physics otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one, Ian. And I'll get back to you, Forrest. I'll just answer him. So I definitely do agree with you. It doesn't offer any more explanatory purposes, unless you're a diehard believer in, let's say, Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, right? Then it would. But then again, you have all that extra, burden of proving X, Y, and Z, like Forrest said. I do think there is an emotional aspect for some people. I think that, and that's why I wanted to be very careful before and say that this is not a blanket statement. This is just for me and anybody who's similar to me, that it's emotional as well. When you add God, for some people, it does add a layer of emotional comfort of existing within the universe. For some people, it is just very difficult to digest the idea that there isn't a God, intelligent creator over here, and that we don't know whether or not life is meaningless or not. So I do think that it does bring another layer of emotional support to some people. So that's why I would like to bring that God, like on top of the laws of physics, and bring God into it and say that there's a creator to the universe. And I support that through, just seeing how much order there is in the universe. And when I see order, I think of creation. And then when I see creation, I think of creator. And I think that a lot of people, what they have a problem is when they think about God, is that they think of God as some type of like man, or some type of I can't say deity, like they personify him in some way, right? Him, her, whatever, they, them. But it could be the universe. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody with a mouth and eyes or something like that. I feel like that's what a lot of people have a hard time with. And I think that's something out there that is intelligent, that can communicate, have communication. It's possible for me. And then I want to switch over to Forrest about what Forrest said earlier, that's brilliant. I never heard that before, that type of argument for what I said. That's actually really smart. Then you would just think that this is just a normal occurrence and this is just a part of nature, and you wouldn't question it if you're just pouring ink and causing symposiums. It's a very good argument, and I'd have to think about that a little more. It's a very good argument.
So there's one thing to, I guess, perhaps segue into then. Not even a segue. So look, if we agree that plausibly you can have an explanation for this without needing a God and without adding any additional kind of, metaphysical baggage, if you will, then it sounds like we kind of agree that generally speaking, atheism is at least as good an explanation as a theistic worldview. And the reason why you're holding on to the theistic worldview is because it has psychological benefits. And it may very well be the case that there are psychological benefits to it. But if we're just looking at the world as to what is the best explanation for the things that we see, then it seems like what we should really, the position that we should take is at most agnosticism, right?
Yes, I agree. Yes, I think agnosticism. Okay. Yeah, I think that's very fair and I think once you have agnosticism, you just choose whatever suits your life the best, suits you personally, emotionally, financially, even, even being a part of certain religious communities can, be very beneficial for you in terms of finding jobs, stuff like that. But yeah, listen, if that stuff doesn't jive with you and you're an agnostic, then yeah, you could definitely lean towards more the atheistic side, or you could just be agnostic in the middle and just say, listen, yeah, I just really don't know and I don't care otherwise. But I think that unless we have full context of the universe, this is my real point here that I want to drive home. Unless we have full context of the universe, I don't think that it's fair to say on either end 100% there is a God or 100% there is not a God. I think that it's been proven time and time again that, we don't have full context of the universe. I mean, 500 years ago, we believe certain things that have been proven to be false. And I'm sure that in the next 500 years, certain laws of physics will be proven to be false as well. And I think it's like kind of like stepping into a room that's infinite and you have a lamp in there that shines a light on one square foot of the infinite room, and then the rest is dark, and then trying to draw a conclusion on the rest of the universe based off of what you see from the 1 square foot of the room.
Now, surely you would. Oh, we can't hear you, Forrest. So.
Oh, it's because I didn't unmute.
Ian.
I'm so silly.
Ian.
Fuck.
You son of a bitch.
So
Damn you.
Joe, surely we would agree that there are some gods that we can definitely know don't exist, right? Mm-hmm. If your God, if your faith tradition requires that you believe that Zeus lives on top of a mountain in Greece, we can just go up and check on top of the mountain and see that there's not a guy there who throws lightning bolts.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's probably some version of God that you can conjure up, some kind of like sufficiently vague version that people like myself and Ian and Forrest would have a hard time like providing like at least reasonable arguments against. But I think that it's, at least amongst the three of us, like I think that there's probably pretty good reason to not only be agnostic, but to fall against the view, if only because there's some things that seem at least incoherent about the standard theistic God. Now, you might say, okay, well, maybe that's not what God is. Maybe God is something kind of more esoteric, more vague, harder to understand, harder to wrap your hands around, and that's fine. But then it's just a question of what it is you're actually believing.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a question of what you're believing. And I think just when you bring, like, if I just, take this 10 steps backwards, if you were just the simple idea of, just create an intelligent creator, not getting deeper into it. What's his relationship? What's that, right? I think that that is what I'm saying, that just simply an intelligent creator, I don't think you can say either that he 100% does exist or doesn't exist. But once you get more specific, like you said about Zeus, right? Once we start going steps forward and we start getting more specific, then yeah, of course, you can refute these claims. You can go up to, Mount Olympus and see that Zeus is not there and yada, yada, yada. Right. But I think that once you bring it down just to grassroots, I think that is very hard to prove without the full context of the universe.
Maybe I'll...
So,
I'm sorry, wait, no.
If I can, really quickly. This is
Miss Forrest. Forrest hasn't spoken in a while.
Yeah, I know. I usually am such a jerk that fucking talks over everybody, but here, I'm gonna do a thing really quickly. All from my biology fans out there. We're gonna draw a Punnett square here, and just break this box into 4 corners there, and just break down a couple of terms that I think might elucidate where I think we all agree on some stuff here. You can be a theist, so you believe that there is such a thing as a God, or you can be an atheist, that you believe that there is not such a thing as a God. And you can be Gnostic, which Gnosticism is to know a thing, or you can be agnostic, which means you don't know for sure, right? And so these are not mutually exclusive terms. You can be a Gnostic theist, which means there is a God and you know it, or you can be a Gnostic atheist, which means there is not a God and you know it, or you can be an agnostic theist, which means you do believe in a God but you aren't sure, or you can be an agnostic atheist, which you don't believe there is such a thing as a God, but you could be wrong and you're not making a true statement. In my opinion, and what I think we can agree on, what it sounds like we agree on most of, is that everything up here in this top half, this whole Gnostic box, requires evidence. It requires a good reason to say you know anything, especially that there's some supernatural thing out there. What I'm trying to get across,
hard indisputable evidence, I would say. Hard indisputable evidence.
Yes, you need something really serious to say you know that there is or is not a God. I, as an atheist, would never sit here and say there is absolutely not a God because I haven't checked under every rock in the universe to see if there's a God there, right? Okay, yeah. But I also would think that this agnostic theist box, if you're saying I don't know for sure, but I do have the belief or the assumption or the idea of this God that I'm holding on to, I think that also needs less evidence than Gnosticism, but still some sort of evidence. the only position that for me I think is reasonable to sit on here is this agnostic atheism, where you're saying I don't believe there is such a thing because I don't have any reason to believe there's a thing. I don't have any actual evidence pointing towards a God besides just my own kind of philosophical rumblings. I don't have any concrete anything pointing in any direction. Therefore, I don't think there is such a thing, but I'm not saying for sure. I'm just waiting for there to be a reason to believe it. And that's where I'm coming from in my position. I wonder if maybe that's where you would potentially want to be.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't want to be on the atheistic part because it's not good for me personally. It doesn't in my daily life.
How good does something have to feel for you to assume it's true without evidence is what I'm saying. I would rather
it's not just it's a compilation of things. It's a compilation of just me thinking that believing in this does benefit me mentally and emotionally. That's one part. And obviously, like, let's say if believing in Zeus, right, was good for me mentally and emotionally, I still couldn't believe in it because there's just not enough compelling argument for that. It just seems so silly, you know, like a guy sitting in a thing with a thunderbolt shooting people. Like that seems too silly. Regardless, I couldn't. I do think there has to be some sort of. Sorry?
How much more silly is that than saying there's some guy who lives in a place that isn't space at a time that isn't time that whipped up the universe and cares about where you put your penis? Like, I mean, it's not that silly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just another belief system.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So like about the whole, you know, sexual laws and stuff like that. I'm just agnostic. Like, I don't know. Could be the guy.
I didn't accuse you. I didn't accuse you of being that. I'm saying whatever rule you put on there is arbitrary. And you said earlier that you think this God intervenes with your life. Okay, this God intervenes with your life, and this God helps you find your keys, and this God helps you feel good at night.
I don't believe that he intervenes with my life. No, I don't know. I would hope. I'm hoping that he does. That's the thing. I'm hoping that he does.
Okay, you're hoping that this God is around for you when you need him the most, but then the counter evidence of that is all the times when he isn't for you and everybody else. Right? 25. We live in a world right now, 24,000 people, including 10,000 children, starve to death every single day. How many of them is God showing up for? Right? And so if you can point to any part of your life that you think this God is present in, you have to grapple then with the fact that, hey, this, whatever it is, what is the worst part of your life, anything, this God showed up for me today to do this thing, didn't stop the genocide in Palestine. So what are we doing? Why am I so special? Yeah. And it sounds a lot more likely that this God with the thing that you're calling God is just good shit happening and a coping mechanism for the shitty world you live in. And I'm not trying to shame you with that. I'm just saying, like, it sounds like you would be, if you were treating this God the same way you treat literally anything else ever, you wouldn't be able to hold on to it the way that you are for the reasons that you are.
Yeah, listen, that's a very good argument. And it's something I do ask myself, like, how come I get X, Y, and Z and other people don't get X, Y, and Z, right? And these are questions that I just don't know. But at the end of the day, like, I can't answer those questions, honestly. It's very difficult, and that's a very good argument. But at the end of the day, let's say stuff does work out for me, let's say, right? And it does make me feel better, and I hope that he does, right? And it could be wrong. I could be wrong, and it's not, because listen, that argument is a very good argument. And also the fact that, you know, I do see stuff happening in my life is also good stuff happening in my life is also a good argument. And I just don't know. But that's why I'm agnostic. I don't know. I'm hoping, right? I think I need evidence. I need evidence if I'm saying I think it's most likely that, right? But I think if I'm saying I'm hoping, it just means that I hope there's a good reason for that. You know, I hope there's a good reason why the genocide is happening or why this is happening. You know, I hope there's a good reason. It's all just like.
Yeah, and that's a fucking moral pretzel you're in, and that sucks. And that's I really think that you're a good person, Joe. You've been very polite and kind and everything here. But that's what bothers me right there, is that at the end of the day, if you believe this God is intercessory in any way, shape, or form, then the burden falls on it for every bad thing that happens. And you have to believe, you have to hope that there's a good reason for shit like that. And I can't do that. I don't know, but that's just I think that's where our disconnect comes in.
Well, yeah, I would love to like add to that. It's like kind of exactly what's being said, is that I feel like if you do believe that God intervenes, that he's like sovereign over reality and he makes like active choices, good choices, loving choices, then it leads you to like pretty crazy moral conclusions. You know, one of the moral conclusions that it leads you to is that there's like a good reason for cancer to exist. And like an offshoot of that is that if there was a button in front of you, pushing that button makes all cancer instantly disappear everywhere, gone forever, that you shouldn't push that button because there's a good reason for cancer, even if you don't know it. I just think it leads to like moral absurdities to think that there's like a God that intervenes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, it's a moral conundrum that theists have to deal with, and I don't have a good answer for that at the end of the day. I really don't, and it's a very good argument, and I have to do more research on that. But I do think that, you know, yeah, you do end up in a moral conundrum, but at the end of the day, for some people, it does help them in their individual lives with just like, you know, emotional, mental stuff. So
I'm actually, and I actually might be pushing back against my co-hosts here. Wouldn't it be a good thing if there was a good reason for cancer to exist? Because then, wouldn't we want? Because then at least it wouldn't seem like needless suffering.
So I think it's a matter of perspective. Yeah, like probably in some like absolute sense, yeah, like everything would happen for the better. Like the world would be a better place if God exists. The problem is that your moral intuitions are basically useless because you'd be like morally intuiting like kind of crazy things, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. Because you'd be intuiting like cancer is bad when in fact like to be logically consistent, you're probably committed to saying that cancer is good.
Yeah, I think you would have to hold the view that it's good that cancer exists, except it's also necessary or something that I try to prevent it or something.
Could I interject?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Please.
Yes, I definitely think that it does open up, like Ian said, it does open up a lot of like, you know, gray area. Because then if everything's for the best, right, then you like go around, you're like killing people, raping people, like it's all for the best, bro. But yeah, I think that
follows.
Yeah, so I think that, but I do think that if, let's say, sorry, give me a second, get on my train of thought. If you were given the ability to prevent it, right, then that means that that's for the better as well, right? That if you're able to prevent that sort of thing from happening, then it's like, oh well, okay, I can prevent this. So this was also given to me as an option to do, and I don't want to cause suffering. Suffering, you know, is bad. But if it does happen and there's no option and it has to happen, then let's say if it is all for the good, then okay, it must be for the good. But if I can stop it, I can stop it. I think that's what you wanted to.
So I totally agree with you, but I think I disagree with like just that last portion. If what you're saying is that the greater good is like the opportunity in and of itself, then you achieve the greater good just by having the opportunity. The greater good isn't you taking the opportunity and actually curing the thing. If it always turns out for the best, then it's going to turn out for the best whether you help or whether you don't help, which means that you have no reason to help as opposed to not helping. I think that that's like kind of an unavoidable implication, which is that, I don't know, like the opportunity to help doesn't really mean anything because the world is going to be a better place if you help or if you don't help, under the view where everything works out for the best.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think that if you were to believe in that, you know, like what that Dr. Blitz was saying, then yeah, listen, if you were given the opportunity to help and for some reason, like let's say you're just a bad person and you didn't help, just like how the rapes happen, just like how the murders happen, and like genocides throughout history have happened, then yeah, it was for the best. But
yeah, and I just think that that's like, I mean, I'm of the opinion that like at that point our moral intuitions are basically worthless. Like they just mean nothing.
I think that generally speaking, if you want to be a theist, the position that you should take is closer to deism. You can say, well, you know, there's intelligibility in the universe, and therefore that at least suggests an intelligence. But I don't think that it's so reasonable to say that all of the stuff that we see was that there is a possibility of intercessation, because yeah, you end up in this kind of problem, this kind of moral conundrum, which is, I mean, it's a moral conundrum, right?
Yeah, really 100%. Yeah, and I think, what do you guys think about moral relativism, where it's like, let's say the Vikings, for example, they thought that having, you know, human sacrifices were okay. The Romans thought having human sacrifices was moral. The Canaanites, and rape was okay. All these things were okay at the time. Like if we were having a panel today, right? There's just four guys sitting together, speaking 2,000 years ago, right? We'd be saying how immoral it is not to offer human sacrifice because it would do like X, Y, and Z. So like, how does that work out with God? Because it's just like, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I interrupted you. I apologize. Just to be clear, I would not be on that position because this idea of moral relativism is to say cultural relativism. Is to say that like, well, it's just what's vibing with around you at the time. There's a cool, I think it was Kohlberg, Kholberg. Yes, Kohlberg. Oh my glob, dude. Kohlberg was a psychologist, came up with a theory of moral development that I really like. That he has these different set stages. I can recite them off the top of my head, but I'm going to try to look them up really quickly to be sure. He's got three major chunks in 6 individual stages, 2 stages per chunk. So the very bottom most basic moral development is obedience and punishment aversion. So you're talking about like when we have a caller say, I don't want to go to hell, I want to go to heaven, whatever like that. Okay. That is the most basic moral thinking. There is no real development there. Number 2 is just self-interest. So I want a reward, right? Something like that. That you are now, I'm going to get a cookie. I don't want to get scolded is number 1. I want the cookie is number 2. Then you get up into a more conditional thing. Number 3 is conformity. So like, this is what is being put upon me by my peers. My friends are going to disown me if I act this way, so I'm not going to act this way. And then level 4 is maintaining social order. This is the law of the land, and I have to obey the law, right? What you're talking about here, well, of course, human sacrifice is a thing. That's what my society has always done. Therefore, I'm going to participate in this. Higher levels of social reasoning, the top 2, number 5, is social contract and individual rights. So we're talking about like actually looking at individual people and what is best for individual people and how we as a society can operate. And then the big one, number 6, is universal ethical principles that you can apply to any situation. That is the height of moral reasoning and moral development. So because I believe in this framework, I really like this idea here. And I'm not a psychologist, so I'm sure there's some psychologists out there that can tell me issues with this, but like I really like this framework here. And because of the way that I think about this, I would say that I have these universal principles that I apply to every situation. And so, yes, morality is somewhat relativistic because of that, because different principles are going to apply in different ways, but the principles remain the same. So take, for example, the principle of bodily autonomy. That is a universal ethical principle that I can apply all over the place. I believe in bodily autonomy. I think that people have the right to determine what happens to their body. Is there an exception to that? Absolutely. If somebody is unable to make medical decisions for themselves, somebody should step in and save that person's life. And that goes against their fundamental bodily autonomy, but it's useful in this way. As opposed to if I'm talking about rape, slavery, murder, human sacrifice, I don't have to have a cultural ideology that's framing this. I can just say that violates bodily autonomy in an unjustifiable way. So I can't do this. You know, does that make sense?
You think regardless of like societal standards and all these things, like let's say if you weren't raised in America or Canada, I don't know where you're from. I'm just assuming.
Oklahoma, unfortunately.
Oklahoma. So if you're from Oklahoma, right, and you weren't raised there, which has like Judeo-Christian values, right, that teach you that murder is wrong, rape is wrong, and yada, 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 and you were raised within the Vikings, do you think you would have the same ideas?
To be very clear, number 1, yes, I would. Okay. I don't know. Obligatory. I don't know because I'm not there, right? But using the framework that I've just listed out, I could still arrive at the same conclusions regardless of cultural context. And I know that for sure because I am not taught that rape and murder are wrong because of Christianity. I am taught that rape and murder are wrong sometimes because of Christianity, because Christianity in the Bible also, which is all around me, also teaches that genocide is great if God calls for it, and murder is good if it's in the name of God, and that rape is and sexual slavery is okay when God commands it, and all this other horrible shit we get out of the Bible, right? And also, I am raised around the belief system like you're espousing here, that everything happens for a reason and God has a plan. So even when rape and murder and genocide happen, it's because God was allowing it and wanted it, because it all goes in his plan. So it's actually not a bad thing. It's like, because God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. That's the condition that I was raised around in Christianity around here in Oklahoma. My universal ethical principle of, say, bodily autonomy, and the universal ethical principle of trying to preserve life and avoiding violence and things like that, those concepts can extend far beyond the culture that I was raised in, the culture I'm surrounded by, the culture that we're currently experiencing, and any culture that you want to throw me into.
Okay,
So-
I definitely hear that. I don't think that it's as extreme as today's society, especially with access to social media and the internet and TV and books. I don't think that it's the best analogy towards, let's say, if you were born in the Viking times, where you would have like no access to any books or social media or any ideas other than your own. I mean, or your own cultures. But I hear that. Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
So-
and that's just like I said. I talked about that earlier on the call when somebody asked about where our brains come from, where our minds and consciousness and all of a sudden we
I
talked
heard
about
that,
that.
yeah.
Like,
So
we're
Joe,
exposed to these ideas. Yes, go ahead.
So there is something to be said that just because you're an atheist doesn't mean that you have to be a moral relativist or a subjectivist of any kind. I mean, but like even putting that aside, like there's a whole notion of moral anti-realism that just relies on a person's own intuitions and values, right? So like regardless of what the Vikings thought, I have my values, and those are the things that I use to judge my morals. Now, I'm sure that Ian probably wants to talk about moral realism from an atheist perspective. No?
I could, but I'm scared to. Okay, sure. So there's I'll say two things. The first is that I think the moral realism, moral relativism stuff becomes like not super relevant to theism if you believe in like a God that doesn't have an associated book. If your God isn't giving like specific moral commandments, I'm just not sure how it would be possible to be like a moral realist that wouldn't also apply equally to like an atheist position. Additionally, the field of ethics as it currently stands is filled with moral realist positions that don't make any mention of God. For example, people like Christine Korsgaard, people like Alan Goworth, people like Mark Labar, there's that like innumerable moral philosophers that are active on the scene right now, who are moral realists, and they ground their morals in something other than God. I can maybe walk you through like a quick argument. For example, this is like Alan Goworth's argument. We're all agents. What that means is that we have specific goals and we take actions to achieve them. But to take any action, literally any action at all, we need our freedom and well-being. It's a necessary means to any end that we could possibly choose. It's a necessary step. It's a thing that you need in order to achieve literally any goal. And there's something called the hypothetical imperative. It comes from Kant. It just says like, if something is your end, then you ought take the necessary means to that end. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're trying to graduate college. Graduating college is your end. The necessary means to that end is like going to your classes or passing your tests or getting grades that are sufficient to pass the class. We would say in that circumstance that you ought go to your classes, you ought pass your tests, you ought do all of that. So we can kind of connect the two components, right? What's necessary for every single goal is freedom and well-being. And because it's the necessary means, you ought have it. So everybody's going to be committed to saying that they ought have freedom and well-being, at least sufficient to achieve their goals. But because they ought have it, others ought not interfere with it. They ought not come and like take that away. Essentially what you're doing is claiming a right to it. Everybody must claim a right on pain of contradiction. They must say, I have a right to freedom and well-being. Otherwise, they just simply couldn't pursue goals. They couldn't achieve anything. Yeah. But because my agency is sufficient for me to have a right to freedom and well-being, everybody's agency must be sufficient for them to have that right too. So we could universalize this and say that all agents have a right to freedom and well-being. Okay, and that would be an objective moral standard that would indicate that the Vikings are wrong because they don't respect people's freedom and well-being.
Okay, that's understandable. But let's say if you're a psychopath, right? Mm-hmm. Psychopath or sociopath, which one is like when you don't feel emotion?
Not sure, but yeah, let's say that you're a person.
Sociopath. Okay, like a Dexter kind of dude, right? And he basically. You don't know Dexter?
I don't. I know what it is. I think.
Oh, dude, you have to watch it. I don't know what your tastes are, but it's an amazing show.
I've seen
should
it.
definitely give it. Yeah, it's a great show.
Really good.
So basically, it's a guy who he has this impulse to kill, and he doesn't necessarily feel bad when he does so. And his father just tells him, like, "Yo, man, listen, if you just kill, if you kill people, just kill bad people." You know what I'm saying? And then and he teaches him how to cover it up and whatever because he can't control himself. Okay, so whatever. Let's say if there's a guy out there, he's a sociopath and he wants to kill people. He feels like he wants to kill people. He's a atheist, right? Doesn't believe in God. Mm-hmm. Why would he refrain? And he's not afraid of consequences, right? Going to jail. He's like, it's worth it. If I get caught, I get caught. Then what other than that would stop him from, let's say, killing somebody?
Are you asking like why ought he not, or are you asking like what's physically
Obviously,
going to come and like prevent him from doing these?
Obviously, no one should. Well, basically, what I'm saying is that I do think that God and prescribed religions definitely do have a benefit, even though me not necessarily. I don't.
Wait, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but if what you're asking is like who's going to physically come and stop him. That's no longer in the realm of morals. That's in the realm of politics. That's like a question about like politics and power. But if what you're asking is like, why ought he not? Well, in order to go and murder people, you need to claim a right to a specific level of freedom and well-being. The freedom and well-being to acquire the weapon to go out to take somebody's life, that's going to require you to have life. So you'd both be willing. You'd be saying that agency is sufficient for the right to life, but it's not sufficient for the right to life because their agency isn't sufficient for their right to life. So there would be a contradiction in your worldview. You would both need to claim a right to keep on living while also denying that agents have a right to keep on living. So in that sense, your moral positions would just be self-defeating because they're contradictory.
I don't think that the moral interest would be self-defeating. Yes, that's true. Do I think that's true? Well, if you think you could just, it's easy. You could just say, well, I don't believe that person has the right to live because I want to kill them. Why shouldn't they just say that?
Yeah, because in the argument you start from the simple premise that I'm an agent, and this is true across every single agent. So I'm an agent. Okay. The implication of that is that I have a right to freedom and well-being because of all the steps I laid out. And the implication of that is that agency in and of itself, the property agency alone, is sufficient for the right to freedom and well-being alone. And what this means is that you must apply, in order to remain logically consistent, you must apply this all about you. Because in order to go about murdering people, you need a right to life. But you claim that on the basis of your agency. The fact that you pursue goals is the basis for you saying, I have this right to life. And you would then be contradicting yourself if you said, but these other agents, they have agency, but they don't have this right. Either agency is sufficient for the right to life or it's not sufficient. It's one or the other. If it's sufficient, then you'd be doing something that you ought not do by taking somebody's life. And if it's not sufficient, then you you simply couldn't have the means to take the action that you're trying to take in the first place.
Okay, that's very fair. So based off of what you're saying, I just want to add, I want to take what you said and just add it to what I'm saying is that, okay, fine. So let's say that there is a moral conundrum, right? Oh, okay. So you want to live and do whatever you want to do, but that person that doesn't have that right. You don't want to take that right away from them. Right. But then at the same time, does the sociopath really have free agency? Does he have freedom if he can't kill that person? Does he have that agency anymore in that area? I would argue not, but in others, yes. Okay, so I do think that I don't think that sociopaths care about moral dilemmas. I don't think they really care about that since they don't have emotion and whatever and stuff like that. They don't really care.
To be clear, that just means that they're being illogical with regard to their morals. That's the argument. I mean, you can just say, they're just being illogical, but by contradicting oneself or by being illogical, that's typically our basis for saying that they are incorrect.
Yeah. It's so the argument is not that you can wave a copy of Alan Gewert's Logic and Morality at them and then they'll go away. That's not the argument. The argument is that this demonstrates what they ought do and what they ought not do. The question of how we actually stop people who don't care about logic, well, that's a question of politics. It's kind of outside the purview of ethics.
Oh, okay. I just was getting to the point that I think that religion plays a really good role in, like, let's say somebody who has really bad anger issues or somebody who has but yeah, it could exacerbate it at the same time. But I'm saying
you may very well be right that, like, for some people, religion is absolutely necessary to provide structure and incentive for them to avoid being a horrible human being. But that doesn't really answer the question as to whether or not that religion points to something true about the world. Joe, unfortunately,
that's a good point. Yeah,
we do have to kick you off because we have somebody who's been waiting for quite a while, and Forrest only has so much time. But we are going to let you go.
Actual rabbi, this is going to be interesting.
All right, so I'm going to read some super chats, and then we can bring up our next guest. So first we have from I Am the Big Cheese with $10, job versus slavery. Employer can't control marriage, own kids, make sex slaves, or demand literally anything on command. Dance 12 hours nonstop, eat manure, buck like a chicken, make you sleep in a hole. Yeah, those are good points. Employers can't do that. Herbie Shine with the 5 British pounds says, that is not Justin. Good to see the floppy fringe Tommy guy here. Yeah, that's a good point. Tommy is here. Very good point.
Yeah. You got me. No,
from Lou Minosity with the $10, be righteous. Don't do slavery of any kind, is what a loving God would say, not this God of Leviticus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all on board with that. Robin Fright. Yeah, right? I mean, like, it's just kind of self-evident, right?
Yeah.
Robin Fright says with the $10 says, my son's friend's mother is Jewish and father is Catholic. He identifies as a cashew. True story. Yeah, that's the thing. There are cashews. Cashews are half Catholic, half Jewish. There is a sense in which Catholic is there's like an ethno-religious identity associated with Catholicism, especially Irish Catholicism, and so that's how you can get that kind of thing. But from Ruler Watchman, we have $10. Born Again Atheist on TikTok does deconstruction and skits. No free clout. You know the rules. From Tim Bimbadil, we have $5. Man, Justin looks different today. Yeah, he grew some more hair, I guess. Does that mean?
Can't be stopped.
C-Bar says...
I'm Justin's less handsome biologist cousin. How are you today?
C-Bar sends $4 just as a thank you. From Eris385 with the $5. Forrest, did you know? In 1897, the cold air balloon was invented. It never really took off. Forrest, did you know that?
Nice. Very nice.
Is that
That's pretty funny.
That's like a physics pun, right? Or it's like a physics joke, right?
I mean, I guess it's just a regular joke because it never took off.
Regular joke.
Okay.
From K with the $5 says, do you guys have any good arguments against nihilism? I mean, I guess, Ian.
Sure. Well, so nihilism doesn't refer to like one specific worldview. It's you could be a metaphysical nihilist, an ethical nihilist, an epistemological nihilist, logical nihilist, etc. Like you could be for every single thing that you could take a stance on in philosophy, you could be a nihilist. So you'd kind of need to specify what thing you're talking about. A lot of nihilists, a lot of nihilisms are going to be self-defeating. Like an epistemic nihilist would be self-defeating because, you know, epistemology, the study of knowledge, if you're saying like there's no knowledge, then you couldn't possibly know that. If you're like, you probably couldn't be like a normative nihilist, you know, normative nihilists saying like there are no reasons that exist. You know, you couldn't be a nihilist in that sense because there would never be a reason to accept an argument that there are no reasons. So it really depends on the specific thing you're nihilistic about.
I for one, I call myself a cosmic nihilist. I don't know if I'm not a philosopher at all, but like cosmic nihilism, as far as I understand it, is viewing our reality. It's very close to absurdism, viewing our reality through the scope of what we know about the cosmos and saying that this universe is so big and unbelievably expansive that there is no real reason or justification or meaning towards anything at all beyond just physics be physicsing. And so if everything on this entire planet were to die in the most profoundly painful way possible, it makes no difference whatsoever. Life is meaningless. Existence is meaningless. Nothing really means anything. And you just got to do the best with what you got. So
I think that's perfectly coherent.
I'm down into that. That is 100% my philosophy. And I combine that with like old school ancient stoicism from like Epictetus and Seneca the Younger to make a framework that makes my life meaningful and joyful despite not meaning anything.
Yeah, I totally think that that's coherent. I'm also a nihilist about like existential or like purpose stuff. I think that you're probably capable of like assigning your own purpose. But you know, I don't think that there's like an intrinsic purpose to life or to the universe or to any of this. Purpose is the type of thing that we assign to other things. It's not the type of thing that's intrinsic to the thing. I think that's
Precisely, and
logically coherent. Yeah.
And that's where you get into like, if we're assigning purpose,
Forrest,
is that
I gotta cut you off.
existentialism or is that assertism? No, you do.
Yes, I do, because we have another super chat and Philo's been waiting.
Met about really esoteric shit.
Save it for the private visit. From Arvin Seek with the $5. I've heard Ian say they are vegan, at least partially due to their definition of agency, including animals. What does it take to be an agent, Ian?
That's a good question. Probably just that you're like a goal pursuer. I don't know. I think something that's important to remember is that the Goworth stuff is necessary, but it's not necessarily sufficient. I think that the Goworth stuff can be splashed into a lot of different moral systems, because the only claims that it's making are claims about like necessary means, not necessarily like a complete set of means. There's the potential for other things to claim, and that's kind of the project I'm working on right now, is combining the Goworth stuff with like virtue ethics. I think virtue ethics is really good at handling cases of non-humans, whereas I think Goworth is really good at handling the obligations that you have to other humans. So I'm inclined to think that there's probably like some sort of like virtue ethics, like respect-based reason for why it's wrong. But also there's like one of the things that virtue ethics emphasizes is that you should do the right thing for the right reason. And I also don't think that there's a way to be morally consistent as a non-vegan. I think that there's just like kind of an endless list of absurd bullets that you have to bite that are just like completely and totally arbitrary. But that's just my opinion.
All right, let's bring on Philo. Philo has been waiting very, very patiently for very, very long.
Philo, how's it going?
Your audio seems to not be working.
No.
How ironic would that
After
be?
all that.
I know.
Philo, you might want to refresh.
Philo, refresh and then choose the correct audio source and we'll bring you up.
Yeah, this is so sad, man. But I don't know. I can maybe I'll go into a bit more detail. Philo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
You hear me?
Ah, great. Yes, we can hear you. Do you believe in God, Philo?
hello. Yeah, I'm Muslim.
Okay. What would you say is the most compelling evidence or argument or observation that would convince a whole bunch of atheists?
Okay, before I start, you should tell me what's your epistemology paradigm you follow, especially in justification.
Our epistemology. Wait, you want to know like what specifically? Epistemology is a very big field. Do you want to know like whether we're like foundationalists? Are you asking like? I'm not entirely sure. Like, what are you asking?
Okay, I will repeat the question.
I heard the question. It's underspecified.
Yeah, I said in the truth and justification, what the model you follow. So my response is to follow your response.
I'm inclined towards foundationalism, like phenomenal conservative foundationalism. But if it turns out that that wasn't true, I would probably still be an atheist and then adopt a different epistemology.
Okay, so you don't follow coherentism?
No, I think coherentism is in fact incoherent.
No, this is not logical, because if you not follow coherentism, your statements will have no guidance.
Can you? I'm sorry. I'm a biologist, not a philosopher. Can you please explain to me what is coherentism?
Yeah. So there's different structures in epistemology. Epistemology deals with like knowledge. Like, okay, we know this thing because of this thing, because of that thing, because of this thing. Like, okay, like I know that I have hands because I see that I have hands, because my senses are reliable, because it's like self-defeating to deny like the reliability of my senses.
Coherentism is like it's self-consistency. You say it's not. You say you have strong knowledge, or you say you have certainty in something when you have a high degree of interdependency between the knowledge claims. So it's like a web of beliefs.
Yeah, just like there are no contradictions in your beliefs, and that gives you justification in your beliefs. Just that there are no contradictions.
Okay, and necessarily. And it doesn't address the issue that necessarily the information that you're getting the information itself that you're getting in could be flawed, and you are now building comprehensive and coherent, consistent beliefs based on flawed information. It doesn't deal with that because that would be an external thing.
They could all be false, for example.
Yeah, for example,
okay.
A common objection to coherentism is that it's maybe possible that like a flat earther has coherent beliefs because they just deny like all the external evidence and they simply don't believe that. So within their own paradigm, like all of it is consistent because they say like, well, all the evidence that would disprove my paradigm is just fake. So it's coherent, right? There's no contradiction in that because they've like built like a bubble around themselves.
Okay, I understand. All right, cool.
So Philo, you were saying.
This is why I follow cohero-fondationalism by Susan Hack, or fonda-coherentism. It's a combination between the two, fondationalism and coherentism. So my epistemological foundation, my epistemological background for justification is cohero-fondationalism by Susan Hack. So do you accept model logic for reveal the truth in the word?
Yeah.
This is all premise for I begin the debate.
Yes.
Just a quick question. Which axioms of modal logic are you imposing here? Are you doing S5? Or are you doing something weaker? Or just KT?
I'm not talking about the Western model logic. I'm talking about the Aristotle model logic by Avicenna. You know Avicenna, the Muslim philosopher?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best here, but that's so far outside of my field. I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you? Is there any chance like that you could perhaps just like lay out the argument?
Okay, it's easy. Everything is composed is contingent. The word is composed. Word is contingent. Everything is contingent. Need a necessary being. There is necessary being.
Okay, sure.
Oh, it's the Kalam. Okay, it's the Kalam cosmological argument.
No, that's not Kalam. That's contingency.
No. It's false. The Kalam cosmological argument is based on accidental fact in the word, but this is based on contingency. There is a difference between the two.
So Philo, quick question. Yeah, so this is distinct from Kalam. They sound similar superficially, but they are distinct. So Philo, question.
No, this is false. This is false. You cannot say
they sound similar, is what I'm saying.
They're both cosmological arguments. That's just true.
It sounds an awful lot like you just switched the word cause for the word contingent, and it's the same thing. So I am currently looking it up to try to figure out what the difference is.
Yeah, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, the point is which modal logic are you impugning? Is there like a modern name for it? Do you accept the S5 modal axioms, for example? Do you accept KT?
I actually said this is an Avicenna modal logic.
Okay, so do you accept the axiom that...
Okay, look, it's based on Aristotle logic.
Okay, then so I'm perhaps not as historically well read as you are. Two questions. One, do you accept the proposition do you accept the proposition A is necessary implies A?
I do not use symbolic. It's for me, symbolism is where I use natural language in philosophy.
Okay, so do you say that if a thing is necessary, then that thing, or if some statement is necessarily true, then that statement is true? Is that an axiom that you accept?
Okay, there is a condition. If A is a cause by how say it in English, irada. Wait a second, I remember the term. Guys, tell me irada in English. Irada, voluntary, I think.
Voluntary.
Will,
okay.
Yeah, with the will. Yeah, if the cause A have a will, the consequences is not necessary, but it have no will, the consequences is necessary.
Sorry, I don't think that addresses my question. My question is, if it's necessary that some state... No, it doesn't, because I wasn't... My question is about true statements. If a statement is necessarily true, does that mean that statement is true?
Yeah.
If the statement is necessarily true, imply
That it's true.
what?
Okay. And second question, if you have a necessary relation and the precursor of the relation is itself necessary, does that imply that the consequence of the relation is necessary? So, for example,
I said what. This is the. I know this argument.
I'm not giving an argument. I'm asking if you accept an axiom. I'm not giving an argument.
I don't accept the second axiom. If
You don't accept the K axiom, is what you're telling me.
yeah, the second
Okay.
one I don't accept.
So,
So, can you, wait. First of all, can you answer my argument first? I give an
I'm
argument.
trying to
we're doing
understand what
that.
version of modality you're using. Sorry, what,
This is
what
not
version of
modal-
I misspoke. What version of contingency and necessary you're using?
Look. I said this is not a modality like you think S5.
I misspoke. I already misspoke. I said I was trying to
this is
assess what
why
you mean by
I said
contingency,
it's total-
what you mean by necessary.
Necessary. It's something.
I'm trying to
if you-
assess what you mean by that. If you're not
Okay,
using
I
a
will
standard
give you-
standard modern notion.
I will give you my definition. I will give you my definition of necessary being. The necessary being is something that his equity produced his essence.
His equity
And what-
produced his essence?
I don't know
Yes.
what that means.
Could
His
you explain
equity-
equity?
know,
There may
you know
be.
what mean equity?
No, not in this context.
do you
I
mean?
don't know what it means.
Do you know what mean? Okay. Do you know what mean equity?
No.
Equity.
Not the way you're
is-
using it. No.
What you know by equity? What you know
Equity
by
is like when you try to make things equal with respect to like taking into consideration people's like previous disadvantages. Like something of that sort.
No.
I don't think that
No.
is particularly coherent
not
in
what
this
you mean.
context.
No.
So then what do you mean?
Okay, look. In the philosophy, there is something we call الأصالة للوجود or الماهية, the existence and the essence. You know the existence and the essence.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. كيفاش نقولوا الأصالة? So what's come first, the essence or the existence for you?
I don't understand.
I don't know what you mean.
Not sure.
Do you mean like which is like causally prior? Do you mean like which is like ontologically prior, which is like more foundational?
No. This is more Eastern philosophy. We use these terms. So we say, like I will give you an example. Do you know the existence is indefinable? You know this.
Well, I don't know what that means.
I'm sorry. I feel like we've just been getting like,
Yo, I am-
completely nowhere.
I am useless in this conversation. Like I don't know what he said.
I don't even think it's your fault, but okay, maybe we could just make some progress this way. Do you think God's decision to create the universe was necessary or contingent?
Well, the God's will or God's what act?
Yeah, just his choice to create the universe, was it necessary or contingent?
Yeah, it's it's necessary. Yes.
Sure. So in all possible worlds, God creates the universe.
Yes.
So in all possible worlds, the universe exists.
Yes.
So the universe is necessary. It's not contingent.
Wait a minute.
What it means for something to be
Definition-
necessary is that it exists in all possible worlds. In your view,
Okay,
you
I
think that the
will-
universe is necessary because God creates it in all possible worlds, so it exists in all possible worlds.
Okay. What's the definition? What's the definition of the universe for you?
I don't know, the field-bearing manifold.
How you use terms that are not definable.
Those terms
You
are
said
definable.
in all universe existed in all possible
just-
words. So what's the definition of the universe for you?
The field-bearing
me.
manifold. The manifold that bears fields.
This is the physical definition. I need a definition
Yeah.
by
It's a physical
What do you call
universe, bud.
definition? Okay, so you follow physicalism,
Yeah, to a sense, yeah.
and you follow physicalism, and before me, someone talk with you, and you say you follow also moral realism.
Yeah, but
No.
this feels like a pivot.
You know that
Can we
moral-
acknowledge, just to remain
What?
linear, can we acknowledge that the contingency argument failed and in fact it's like self-defeating? That in your own view, the universe is not a contingency, it's a necessity, which means that we can't
Also-
say
Okay,
that it needs to
I
come
will
back
repeat
to
my
like a
argument.
necessary being because it's itself necessary.
I will repeat my argument and defeat it. The first premise, everything that composed is contingents. You agree or not?
No, I disagree. I'm a necessitarian.
Okay, cool. Give me a definition of contingency.
Something that exists in some possible worlds, but not all of them.
Okay, something that exists in some possible world and not of them. Yeah. This is it.
Yeah. A thing that's neither necessary nor impossible. A possibility that's not
Okay.
necessary.
So what exists? Okay, so what exists in possible world A? It also can be possible existence in possible world B.
For example, well, I mean, I'm a necessitarian, so again, I think that all the things are necessary. But let's say necessitarianism is false. You know, you could exist, or you could exist with a hat on. These are two possible worlds. You exist in both of them. But of course, I am a necessitarian, so.
Okay, so everything in the world is necessary.
That's what I believe, yeah?
So you are necessary being.
Yeah.
Something is necessary is not changeable. You change.
That's not true. Which means that it's existing in all possible worlds.
Do you exist in all possible worlds?
Yeah.
What?
At this specific time, yeah, I exist in all possible worlds, yeah.
What's okay, cool. What's the definition of possible world for you?
Yeah, just a way that
You
reality could
exist-
be.
Wait, okay, I will explain you more. Give me time.
Okay, yeah.
So
I
when you
just
say,
I'm the one lacking
Okay.
knowledge, yeah.
so the definition, if you say I exist in all possible worlds, you mean there is some words A and words B. The words A is different, has essence is different for word B. So what's the difference of essence from word A to word B?
There isn't a difference. That's what an essence is. An essence is the essential properties, the properties that a thing has in all possible worlds. Essences are necessary. There couldn't be a difference in essence because the essence is going to be the same in all possible worlds. So for example, we might say that you have like a specific essence and that this essence remains even if you like put like a hat on, because in all possible worlds you have like a specific essence, and whether you're wearing a hat is not a part of your essence. So
Okay.
the idea
Repeat
that
my
like an
question.
essence
This is not-
changes from possible worlds kind of indicates like some deep confusion about the terms you're using.
Okay. You said possible words. There is word A and word B. What's the difference between word A and word B? تفضل.
I'm a necessitarian. Good question.
So there is no possible words. There's only word.
There's one possible
what is
world,
it?
and it's this one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So there is one possible word. That
Mhm.
one possible word is composed or not
Yeah, it's composed.
composed. Need a composer.
I disagree.
How does
It
that
depends
fall?
what you mean by composer. You could say like the composer is like the law.
to get to that.
Wait.
Design needs a
Okay.
designer. Compose needs a compose.
No. Okay. Why are you laughing for?
Because
Well, it's funny.
it took because we went through this whole thing. Like you got to just put yourself in my miserable shoes for 1 second here. Like, thank goodness that
Okay,
people like
okay,
Ian
okay.
exist,
Wait,
that he can
wait,
handle
wait,
words like,
wait.
you know, necessity and contingent and all this
Wait,
stuff,
so
because that's
you're
so
laughing
far
at
afield from me.
Forrest.
But after sitting through
Okay.
all of that and trying to keep up, now we just get to like freaking the Discovery Institute argument of like, well, things exist, so somebody must have done the things, and that's where we are. And I don't like. We could have just started there, and it would have made exactly as much sense.
Okay,
we could have been done with it.
Okay. So I said a composer to your brain to understand it. If I will talk about with my terms. Okay, Forrest Valkai, what's the definition of contingency?
I don't. I'm a biologist. I
Yeah.
don't know. Contingency is when contingency is when a thing is when a thing does a thing.
Yeah, it's when something is possible but not necessary. That is, it exists in some possible worlds, but not all of the possible worlds. But
What
I'm
he
a
said.
necessitarian, so I don't think that there's any contingencies. I think contingencies are fake.
Okay, can I talk with one?
Yeah.
With who?
Okay, this is the first thing, and the second thing, I didn't laugh. I can laugh.
You're allowed to laugh. You can laugh.
Things can be funny. You're allowed to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, okay. Yeah, I will repeat. You say there is no contingency in this word.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
true or
contingency
not?
is fake. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, because I think that if something's necessary and it produces something else, then the thing it
Okay.
produces is also necessary. So you couldn't possibly have any contingencies in there because there can't be an infinite chain of contingencies.
Okay, cool. Now, your essence is necessary.
I'm skeptical if I think humans have an essence.
I don't know what we mean by essence here.
Well,
It just means like the essential properties of a thing, like in any way
Okay.
that it could be, right? Like, so you would have some, like, I don't know, like let's say humans
Let
have
me talk. I
essences.
didn't
You have
finish.
like some essential properties.
Okay,
So you would have
said-
essential
you said-
properties and you would exist as Forrest if you were wearing a hat, if
said
you
you
weren't
are-
wearing a hat, if your hair was shorter,
Right.
you would have the same essence, but there'd be like some like additional superficial properties that could change. But I don't know, like probably
Okay.
a part of your essence is that you had like you have your parents, right? Like if you had different parents, we would probably say that you're like a different person, that your essence just
I-
wouldn't
I-
exist in that world.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Okay. I'm trying. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
You said you are skeptical about if a human being have an essence. Cool.
Yeah,
No.
and any like metaphysically weighty
logic-
sense, like maybe you'd be able to come up with like
Can I
some
told
trope essence, but
why did I like that? I didn't finish my sentence.
okay.
Can you please let me finish?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. You said you are skeptical about if a human being have an essence.
Mhm.
So this word, anything beside you, how you distinguish things if things have not essence? Yalla.
Mm. So specifically what I said is that I don't think things have like metaphysically weighty essences. I think that we have specific categories for things, right? So we compose certain definitions and then there's application conditions for those definitions. So we would say we create the term bachelor. A bachelor is an unmarried man. We created the term water. Water referred to like the wet shit that exists in like lakes and oceans and whatnot. And our understanding of water evolved over
The
time.
wet
You know,
shit.
at one point it was like the wet shit in lakes, and now it's evolved to like H2O.
Okay. You said we said a bachelor because no. Now, you said everything that we have is based on الوضع. You know how we say it in English?
I don't think I said that.
Yeah, you said that.
I don't think I said everything is based in water. I don't think I said that.
Can I
Based on-
I have a different
How
question.
did you
Philo, finish what you're saying, but like I have a totally different question.
What?
I have a question for you.
Just for you know, the English is my third language. This is
Yeah.
why I have
It's
some-
okay. Your English is better than any other language that I speak. So like I have a question for you, and if it's okay, if it please the court, just you asked if humans have essence. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Objective
Can you please tell me what is a human?
Is حيوان ناطق in Arabic. We say it's an كيفاش نقولوا حيوان ناطق wait I will translate it حيوان ناطق بالانجلي it's an intellectual animal this is how we say it this is Aristotle definition of human.
An intellectual animal. Okay. So we know we're animals and we have something intellectual. So how do we determine what is and is not intellectual?
We have we call the الكليات الخمس يا ربي راحت لي لونجلي I learned it in Arabic so we called it everything what's intellectual what have الكليات خوتي كيفاش نقول مش كليات faculties
Something that has
Like a
facts.
rational animal. Aristotle's definition is something like a rational animal, like a reflective animal.
Yeah.
yeah
So
this is the definition is rational.
okay. So are you saying does that mean that if someone is lobotomized, a part of their brain is destroyed and they no longer are able to think clearly, or they are born with some cognitive deficiency, or they get Alzheimer's or something, and that in some way or another they are no longer rational? Are they no longer human?
If they are no longer rational, yeah, of course, they're not longer.
Whoa, okay.
There we see, and this is what I'm talking about. Like from a biological perspective, I can tell you that human is an extremely difficult thing to actually define, and there is no that's a very difficult question in
This
biology.
just in, severely disabled people not human, according to this guest.
Right,
Just
and
in
that's-
babies,
that's-
not human.
Yeah.
Babies are human, right? And
Comatose
that's
people
what I'm
not
saying. Is
human.
like from a biological perspective, this is a very difficult question, and I was hoping to try to tease out the fact that you can't philosophy your way into this argument, and clearly you can philosophy your way into extreme ableism. So, like,
Yeah.
fuck, bro, I don't.
For real.
I don't know where else to go with that.
Well, Philo, we appreciate. Well, I don't know if I'd say we appreciate, but thanks for playing. I don't know. I think that there's. I know you have to get out of here. But I think that like possibly the only way that you could like maybe define a human is structurally through like what it isn't, right? Maybe you could say that a human is something that's it's like a descendant of Homo erectus that isn't Denisovan or Neanderthal. And then
Right.
but I don't know.
So
it's
the
a lot of
problem-
like, yeah.
I like that idea. The problem, and this is just totally taxonomic, is that strictly speaking, anything in the genus Homo is called a human. And so
True.
it's like
Yeah.
they're just different species of humans. And so it is really difficult to do. And if you do that, then yeah, you have to isolate these different things. And then you have this really weird barrier of where do you actually draw the line between where Homo sapiens start and we lose Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, Homo whatever. And so like that's the problem. And I'm not trying to get into it because the point is in bioanthropology, that's a difficult question, right? And it's a hotly debated question. And I was hoping to elucidate that when this dude is trying all these things to talk about essence and everything, he doesn't know what the fucking thing is that he's trying to attribute essence to, whatever the fuck essence is. And so, like, scientifically, you can't philosophy your way into this fucking problem. But apparently, there were profoundly worse issues with his world. So I don't know where to go from there.
No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition, as they say.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
we have a few super chats to read.
Ableism's coming off the train, taking off the belt. Ableism with the steel chair.
You typically don't want to associate ableism and trains, by the way, Ian.
Oh wait, because of the Holocaust, or
Yeah.
oh sure, yeah.
That's a connection. That's a connection. There's always
Anyway,
connections.
so we have Gretchen with the $6.66. Hail Satan. Maybe it's just me, but I adore the way Forrest is so animated and talks with his arms. It's a big step up from Chump's accordion hands. Lamau.
I can't be stopped.
I guess it's the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man kind of energy, right?
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing biologist. It's my job.
There you go. From I am the big cheese with the $5. How can I learn to read philosophy? Where do I start? Which books would you recommend? I want to learn logic and epistemology. So coming from a non-philosopher, you don't do it. It's terrible. It's horrible. Never do it unless you hate yourself. Ian, what would you like to contribute?
No, it's horrible. It's useless. Don't do it unless you hate yourself. But if you do hate yourself, I think a really great starting place is Michael Huemer's Knowledge, Reality, and Value. It kind of canvases like all of the important issues, or not all, I wouldn't say all, but like a lot of important philosophy issues. And he just lays out like, well, some people think this, some people think this, I think this, here are my reasons for thinking this. Kind of all of his worldview centers around his epistemology. He has like a follow-up book called Understanding Knowledge. It's an introduction to epistemology. That's a really good book too. Michael Huemer writes specifically to be understood by lay audiences. That's kind of his project. So he's like a really good gateway into modern analytic philosophy. What was you wanted epistemology and what else? What was the other one?
Logic.
Logic. I don't know. I don't know. I learned logic in my mathematics degree, so
Me too.
I'm not sure if I have like a good intro recommendation. I have like an intermediate recommendation. Graham Priest's Introduction to Non-Classical Logic kicks ass if you're trying to learn about, modal logic, if you're trying to learn about fuzzy logic, if you're trying to learn about like all the non-classical logics. I think that book is really cool, but I'm not sure I have any recommendations like intro books to logic.
Now we have one more super chat from I Am the Big Cheese with $10. Thank you so much for the kind and generous support. When Ian says the universe is the field-bearing manifold, I picture Man-Bear Pig gazing longingly at a sunset in a wheat field. All is calm as her Man-Bear piglets run up to give her a big Man-Bear Pig hug.
Well, that's
very serene.
Yeah. Dr. Blitz, if you could be one field, which field would you be?
I could be one field.
You're
The
one
Higgs field.
Higgs
Yeah, the Higgs field. If space-time doesn't count. If space-time counts, then it's space-time.
Sure.
Which maybe it does. Who knows? All right. So, Forrest, you said you want to take off.
Yeah,
we could end it here.
that's got to be it for me. But I really appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. We'll let you know if we ever need you back.
Well, yeah,
not because we don't like you, but just because usually all three of us are here.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, hit me up anytime. We'll do a thing. See you guys later. It's a pleasure meeting you, Ian. I'll see you again, Blitz.
It was so nice to meet you. So fun to debate with you. Thanks so much for coming on up.
Thanks for having me. See you later, guys.
Ian, you want to take one or two more guests?
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's bring up Nate.
Nate. Yeah, big W. Everyone should be following Forrest. I imagine everybody's already following Forrest, but you for sure should be. What's up, Nate? How's it going?
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. How are you guys today?
Doing well.
Right on. The reason I'm joining your conversation is just a little preamble. I've been scrolling through YouTube, going through the shorts, that sort of thing. And every now and again, I find an atheist, studying philosophy and all that fun stuff. And I find it highly engaging. The reason I find it so interesting is my own form of faith. I genuinely believe in God. It has nothing to do at all whatsoever with oftentimes the theism you guys discuss and arbitrate. So I'm very curious to see what the hardcore atheists have to make of my particular form of worship.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
So,
like, do you think a mind created the universe?
Oh, we'll backtrack to that. So, the point being
that is an important question because it like so the reason we'd like an answer to that now is because it's possible that you and we actually don't disagree, and you just call something that we think is the universe God. So it's important that you actually establish what it is that you believe. Do you believe that there is some sort of being or some sort of mind that created the universe?
And we will backtrack that.
Nope, we need an answer.
Yeah. Listen, like, we want to hear what you have to say, but we just need to make sure that there's like a real genuine disagreement, because if it turns out that you just think like God is like the universe, well, we believe that the universe exists, so I'm not really sure what we would be disagreeing on at that point.
Actually, there are certain layers, but that's if you're gonna hold me to the corner of it, sure.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah. What makes you think that God exists?
No. Please allow me to, if that's a land. My form of worship is both the oldest original form of worship on this land. I am native. I was raised in the culture of powwows, sun dances, sweats, night lodges, smudging, that sort of thing. And what I have found is that my relationship with God is highly transactional. And in the form of native worship and spirituality, There is no church.
Does the audio keep
Yeah.
cutting out?
Yeah,
So I
Nate,
hate to
you're cutting
interrupt
out
you,
a bit.
There is no
Nate.
Bible. There is no dogma. There is no theology.
Nate,
And when you make offerings
can you
to
hear
the
us?
ceremony, you get
Can you hear us?
genuine out. Hear me.
Your stuff is like lagging pretty bad.
your audio is like going in and out, and it seems like there's some lag there. Do you want to
no.
refresh and
It's-
rejoin?
I can. Yeah, we can try.
Yeah, we'll
that.
bring you right
I'm
back
gonna
up.
send
Just
you guys.
hopefully it'll fix it.
Great. Thanks so much.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever debated somebody about, or it's been a real long time since I've debated with somebody about like indigenous religion.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, often indigenous religions still do have a creator being. Often,
Yep.
not always, but often.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Do I sound any better?
Yeah, we'll see.
so far,
You were
so
kind of going in and out.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see. That is unfortunate. I apologize. So I'll try and speak a little slower. So my particular form of worship is both the oldest and most original form of worship on this land. I am native, and I was raised in a culture of powwows, sun dances, sweats, night lodges, that sort of thing. And my relationship with God, the creator, is highly transactional. There is no church, there is no Bible, there is no theology, there is no dogma, and there is no doctrine of rules. All there is a loose collection of ritual and ceremony wherein you provide an offering and you receive material benefit to your life. And it's consistent. Every time you do it, each and every single time you do it, correctly, by the way, you do receive genuine benefit in your life, be it money, be it job, be it material benefit. And each time you receive that benefit, it only validates your belief in what Native people call the creator. Now, when I hear you internet atheists discuss these things, you're oftentimes debating Christianity or religion, which in my opinion is not God. There are two distinctly different subjects. And I'm curious what the atheists, their opinion is on such an experience on this land.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, look, so it may very well be the case that you derive some benefit from the rituals that you perform. I suspect that many of them would be psychological because, the things that we do generally affect us psychologically, mentally, and so on. If your claim is that there is a repeatable ritual that you can do over and over again to gain financial benefit, well, needless to say, I would be very skeptical because, unfortunately, the indigenous population of the United States is famously very, very impoverished.
Yeah.
No, one of them, I don't mean to cut you off. One of them was I asked for 12.
You're cutting out.
That's because in America, it's actually a minority.
You're cutting out again.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. As a result of colonialism, as a result of cultural genocide and colonialism, most Native people across Canada and America actually do not practice Native spirituality into our culture. It was taken from them. It is a minority of a minority that genuinely practices it. And I can assure you those who do receive the material benefit. An example of which, once I asked for $12,000, 3 days later, it showed up in my account. Obviously, there were circumstances leading to that. Often,
where did the money come
people
from?
Described as coincidence. But when it happens year,
so why don't you just ask for $1 million then?
Also, it's like
contest.
cutting.
I asked
It's cutting
God,
out
the
like
creator,
quickly.
hey, can I
Like
get
I really want to talk to you,
votes
but it's
on
like
this
cutting
radio
out.
contest.
Like, really
3 days
badly.
later, I won it. It must be something you need, and it has. I apologize. That's too bad. That's unfortunate. I have fiber optic and everything. I have anyway. The point being is
Are you
you
on
can't
Wi-Fi?
necessarily go asking for an interpretation. Yes. Yeah. It could be the AirPods, but they're AirPod Pro 2. I don't know. I could take them out. Regardless, I am curious about the atheist opinion on what is the oldest and most original form of worship on this land. Because you have a bookshelf full of books back there, but I'm curious, do you have any sort of insight on what is like the most primordial form?
Well, just to be clear,
of
two
God
things.
on this land you live on?
I'm curious what tribe you're a member of. Is that something you're comfortable disclosing?
The Mi'kmaq of the Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Sure.
And Second,
The Mi'kmaq of the Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
yeah, sure. Second, I think it's just false to say that the spirituality and the worship that you practice is the oldest. Like it's maybe in North America, probably it is.
It definably is. There are actually stones in Cape Breton that date back 9,000 years before the birth of Christ. That is
right. No, I understand that, but the Indigenous Australians have a cultural tradition that dates back like 40,000 years, and there weren't even humans.
Okay,
in
sure.
North
If you want
America
to arbitrate how old it is, that's fine.
Well, I mean,
okay, sure.
look, you were making a claim.
Maybe it's only the second or third oldest.
You were making a claim, so I just think it's worth talking about.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, but like, look, it just like if your claim is like, oh well,
second or third or fourth oldest.
Yeah. Okay. So if your claim is like, look, you know, like if you worship the correct way, then you can just get arbitrary amounts of money. Like, why did you only ask for $12,000?
That's kind of how it works for most. Because I wanted the radio contest, and that's what the radio contest provided. It was $12,000.
Why
didn't you ask for $1 million?
That if you
why not enter the lottery and then ask?
Because that wasn't what the radio contest. I could, yeah. Why not? It's just, I guess, up until
that would be
right
miraculous
now,
if you could.
It never occurred to me.
Okay, so Nate,
honestly, that never occurred to me until right to this moment.
So do it.
Yeah.
Come back and spread your winnings, I guess, or and we will start sharing your practice.
Yeah. Well, even if you didn't share your winnings, like if you come here in like a week saying like I won the lottery, oh my god, I won the lottery, damn, I would convert. That would be like substantial evidence.
It really would.
You know what? Just on a lark, I will try it out once. As a rule, I try not to, gamble with the lottery. Radio contest is a bit different. You call in.
Sure.
But sure, yeah, why not? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess there's like a couple of ways that maybe there's like one way that we might be able to move this forward as well.
No, you guys have paused. You're frozen.
Oh. Maybe. Okay, wait. He's gone. Well, Blitz?
I'm here. I just don't want to show something on screen.
Dr. Blitz stroking his shit again. You gotta get
Sorry,
that
no, I
was
taking very illicit drugs.
Sure.
It was Tylenol and dextromethorphan and guaifenesin and phenylephrine.
Okay. Sure.
I just don't want to see people. I just don't want people to see me popping pills, all up on the internet.
Yeah. It seems like the last guy disconnected.
Indeed, we do have some super chats. One super chat from Juan K with the $5 dues. Forrest exists in all worlds, including the unapologetic live world. Therefore, is necessary. Happy to see you here. That's a fair point. All right, let's move on to our potentially last guest, I suppose. I believe their name is Rico. No, I'm kidding. It's actual rabbi. We'll bring up actual rabbi.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's 9 p.m. in Russia now, so hi, hello from Russia. Also, extra hello to allegedly Jan. I was at your show, like a month ago, and I watch it every Saturday because it's the only day I can watch it because I have a job another day. Today is special.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Thank you. So I have like 5 points I wrote down while listening. Because Forrest said that I'm next in line like an hour ago, so I was preparing myself.
Forrest isn't a host.
What? Yeah, he's gone.
Forrest is just loved and cherished.
Yeah, true. So I'm a Jew. Yeah, I'm the Orthodox, not modern Orthodox like Josh, but like the guy before. We're actually learning like a philosophy that God exists, and there's one interesting idea that God wants us to believe in him. Basically, God wants us to believe in him. But what is it believe? Believe it's when you're not knowing something for sure, therefore you believe. Let's say you hear an ambulance going or firefighters going direction of your house. So you want to believe it's not your house that caught on fire. If you know they go different direction, there's no belief that it's not your house. You know it's not your house because they go different direction. the belief only falls on something that's not 100%. Therefore, you believe in it. Therefore, when God says he wants us to believe in him, it means there is no actual proof. You cannot point on something, certain picture, and say, "Oh, this proof God exists." Because if there would be
Is
one,
there evidence?
no, I'm saying there's no evidence. There's no picture. Oh, there is. There is a reason to believe it. But I'm saying that there's no proof. What Forrest said before about the agnostic theist, there's no such thing, agnostic theist, according to philosophy. Because God wants to believe in him, and why? Okay, you're asking a good question. Why should we believe in him? That the story of how you call it in English, the book of Esther, maybe
Mordecai and
I know.
Esther, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this story, you know the story, right? I don't need to.
Yes. I don't know if Ian does. Ian, do you know the
Ian,
story of
for
Esther? Purim
What
story?
are you talking about?
Oh, it's like Jewish Halloween. It's pretty great.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, I mean, you know, at least in the Western world. It's a story of they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat kind of thing. It's pretty standard.
Cool.
Anyway, go ahead.
This guy.
I like the name Mordecai.
Okay. I thought it's part of a Bible. I thought so because it's part of a Torah.
No, it's in the Tanakh. Yeah, it is. But you know.
Yeah, it is Tanakh. That's a point. Okay, so what's interesting about this book? It's part of a Tanakh, but I think it says maybe once or twice the word God in this book, but all the time it's just saying what happened, whatever, and the Aman want to kill Jews. So and the whole thing is a giant accident. Like if you read the story, there's never said God did this, God did that. Just occasionally happened, and everyone survived. Right? This is the story. You can prove me on this. Okay, so this story is basically the way we believe in God. There's no proof. You cannot point on something and say this is God, this is God. But after you see the whole story, the story is so miracle that from this story you see God exists. You understand my point?
The story is true, presumably, but then wouldn't he just, I mean, I assume he's just like a character in the story. So yeah, like obviously if the story is true.
I think the point is that the story doesn't explicitly include any divine intervention. Oh, he left. He'll be back. So
no, he's still here.
The point is, oh, that's weird. I don't see him. So the point is that there's no explicit divine intervention, but the fact that like it just worked out well is evidence, is the claim. It's evidence of like, you know, God working from behind the scenes, if you will.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this is what it means to believe in God. Like this whole world is like if I bring you a factory that creates Teslas, and this factory is so smart that you don't need people in it. It creates Teslas by itself, and it creates energy to exist, and Teslas in this whole things. So you come to this factory and say, "Wow, it's so smart. Who's the guy who created this?" I'm saying like no one. It just one day just occurred here. So this is stupid, right? Because this thing is so smart. You want to know who's the smart guy who did it. So this whole world is basically the same thing. The whole world that exists for millions of years, and it creates people who can recreate themselves. And it is just the whole thing is so smart. When you look at it, you see it's miraculously smart. This when we see it this and this point from this direction, you can see that there's a proof God exists. There's a reason to believe God exists because it's just so miraculously.
Did he drop again?
No, I can still hear him.
No,
I can't even hear him.
Hey, alarm, what? Yeah, do you hear me?
Might want to refresh.
I can see him again.
Ian, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I hear you perfectly all the time. I don't know what's happening. But you got my point? What I was saying?
It might be on my end.
Yeah, Dr. Blitz, do you want to hit a refresh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading through the story right now.
Okay, so with you. You can ask ChatGPT to tell you the story. It's simple. It's not. There's
I'll read it on Wikipedia.
Okay, yeah, exactly. One of points. I just thought you know this because it was part.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I mean, look, is the point that like there's all these things that just kind of work out, and that's like the evidence for God? Is that the point?
it's not the evidence, because there's no evidence. If it would be evidence, there's no such things to believe in God. But this is the reason to believe in God. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this whole miracle.
So when I say evidence, I don't mean proof. I just mean like there is some level of justification that can be derived from it.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mean, then couldn't we look at the instances of things not working out as reason to not believe?
Okay, I know where you're going. You go with the cancer problem?
Well, or just anything that is like the case of things not working out, right? Just like anything.
At this point, I have this point written. Like basically, every stream of Ian, I hear this. He asking a lot of people this question. Like, if you have the button to cure the cancer, if you have the button to find all the murderers, all the rape, whatever everything. Hope you can. Whatever.
Buddy is castling into check right now. Sure, yeah. We can go down the question line, I guess. Let's say that there was a button, and pushing this button would make it so that every time there's like a serial unaliver or like a school pewer, every single time automatically the police get an anonymous tip telling them exactly where it's going to happen and when. Would you push that button?
Yes, I would.
Okay, would God push that button?
No, he's not pushing. This is the fact. It's not the question, right?
Okay, sure. Who's right? Between you and God, who makes the correct moral decision?
Right? It's basically, you're proving that God is illogical. Because if illogical, he would do this, right?
Wait, okay. Did you say that God, that you make the right decision and that God doesn't, to be clear?
Okay, I know your question. Can I answer?
Yeah, well, wait, okay, but just to be clear, wait, who's right between you and God? You would choose to anonymously tip off the police every time there's going to be a school pew-pewing, and God wouldn't do that. So who makes the correct ethical decision, you or God?
Both of us, and I explain why. Okay, sure. So we choose. Josh said we like examples. Let's say we bring a person from a tribe or somewhere who have no idea what is a surgery. Yeah, and you bring him to the surgery room, and he sees the person's arm gets amputated, and the guy starts screaming and go crazy, like, "What are you doing? Like, what? Like, why are you torturing this man?" And they try to explain to him that he actually cures him by cutting his arm so the rest of the body can leave. So the point of this example is to say that God has a giant plan. Let's say the whole world is like a giant chessboard, and every piece is moving other pieces, and this thing is so complex that we have zero chance to understand why here he gambled this piece, and why this piece died, and why here person died. We have no idea. Why would you think that you should know everything happening? Yeah. So therefore, we just believe that God is all good, and he does this amputated a part of humanity. We don't know why. We're not understanding in surgery that God does to the world every day. But therefore, we know that God is all good, so he does it. Yeah, did I answer the question?
So let's talk about that doctor analogy. So you don't know what an amputation is, and you see a doctor amputate somebody. In this scenario, we would say that if you're horrified by that and you think the doctor is doing something wrong, that you have made an incorrect judgment, that if you took an action to stop the doctor from doing what they were doing, you would have done something wrong, because in fact, the amputation is not bad. The amputation is quite good, and the doctor was right to do the amputation. If what you're saying is that we might not understand why God wouldn't push the button, that's fine. I grant that we might not understand why God doesn't push the button, but the view that you are committed to is saying that pushing the button is the right thing unless God doesn't do the right thing.
Okay, so this is not only a question about cancer, the question about the whole medicine, like why God created medicine. Like people can cure other people. Like,
nope, that's a pivot. Didn't mention any of that. Right. I didn't say any of that. Nope.
Okay, let's go this direction.
Let's just stick with the question, right? We're talking about like school pew-pewings. Like Either the police get tipped off that there will be a school pew-pewing, or they don't. That's what the button does.
It exists.
You're saying God doesn't tip off the police. You would tip off the police, but
Yeah.
you think we're both right. So what is is
there's
there an
inter-
objectively right thing to do in that situation?
There's an interesting saying about something else, and I'll come back here. Okay, so it says why somewhere it's asked question why some people are poor and other people are rich, and explain that God wants
I didn't
people
ask
to make
that.
a good. No, yeah. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna ask the question and answer, and then we're gonna come back to the PP. Okay. The question is why. Question asked why some people are rich, some people are pure, and the answer is God wants people to do good things. Therefore, he creates rich people so he can give. It's called donations. Whether he can give donations to poor people, and this way, not only God don't need to give money to the poor person, but he do it through the living person. Yeah. So therefore, he do the same thing. There's a school pew, and God can stop it easily. But he wants to grant person on this world by this person doing it. So he lets a person see the potential school pew, and when person sees it, he's calling to the cops, and they stop him. And this way, God did the same thing. He stopped the pew, but the difference is he let the person do this, and he grant him by doing this. That's my point.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying like if God tipped off the police every time there was like a school pew-pewing, that it would take away the opportunity for people to act like heroically?
Sometimes he wants to grant people by giving them the opportunity to be heroic. Yeah.
Okay, and what's better, the opportunity to be heroic and prevent school pew-pewings, or, having no school pew-pewings? Which one would you prefer?
I'm charging my phone now, so can you hear me still? I'm just want to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay, so what's the question?
which one's better? Living in a world where no school pew-pewings happen, or living in a world where school pew-pewings happen, but sometimes people get to be heroes about it?
Okay, good question. Probably the first one. The logical thing is to say the first one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Would God agree?
I heard the interesting answer to this. It's not coming from Judaism. I don't know where it's coming from, but I think it's really interesting. I want to know your opinion on it. Someone once said that if the evil would not exist on earth, people would never think about God's existence or not. Because one person started to ask questions about God existing or not when he has problems in his life. The Holocaust. Yeah, after the Holocaust, people saying, where was God when the Holocaust happened? And etc., etc. But if we would live in a world where there is no bad things happening, people would be just circled about pleasure, and they don't need to think or to know that God existing. So by putting people in hard position, you understand my point, yeah?
No, that's like super false, right? He could simply give some sort of book and then sufficient evidence to come to the belief that the book is true. It seems like he could absolutely have relationships with people. He could give people spiritual experiences that indicate that he does in fact exist, and then that would draw people towards him.
Which spiritual whatever he said.
He could come down to everybody as a burning bush and be like, "Hey, what's up? It's me. I'm God, creator of the universe. How's it going?"
Okay, so the problem, there's a more global thing I need to address. Is another point. What's the purpose of a creation? Like, what would be a purpose of a creation in this scenario? Because according to Judaism, the purpose of a creation, God wanted to be a king. God wanted people to serve him. In order to serve him, he had to give him a free will. A free will, because if you're like a robot that has to serve him, he don't feel pleasure about it. There's no pleasure about someone serving him. The same way table, it serves me by letting me put the phone in it, but I don't feel pleasure.
I mean, look, giving someone knowledge about your existence doesn't force them to serve you.
Yeah.
God could still reveal himself to everybody. No. I mean, like, look, when let's say when I'm at the grocery store and I'm trying to decide what apples to buy, right? There's like there's the red apples and the green apples.
Yeah.
if there's only one kind of apple, I have no choice. That's the only apple I can buy. But if I know if there's more apples, then I have more options. Similarly, if God gives us more information, then there's more choices to make. You could either believe in him or you could not. You could worship him or you could not. You could trust him or you could not. Now you can make choices. Without the knowledge, you can't make any choices.
Okay, but if you go to the grocery and there's God sitting there and says, these apples are good and this apples has worms in it, there's no choice anymore.
Sure there is. You could still choose to get the apple with the worms.
Yeah.
That's illogical. That's
maybe you like worms. What's illogical about that?
What's logical about it's just an example. Worms here are example for something that's illogical for people to consume. I can say there's apples with shit inside of it. I mean, it's illogical to eat it.
Look, so what you're saying is that if God revealed himself to everybody, then everybody would just worship him. But that's patently false. As an example, there are many atheists who say even if the God of the Bible was true, I still wouldn't worship him because they think that he's evil.
Also, wait, I want to go back to the apples with worms analogy because I think it's actually the reverse. For most people, they would consider worshiping a god, following all the rules that the god wants you to do, a burden. So I think the apt analogy, the accurate analogy, is God saying, eat the worm apples, and then a lot of people would choose not to. You know, you have the choice. You can either do what God tells you to do and eat the worm apples, or, you know, eat the non-worm apples. I think plenty of people would make the choice to not eat the worm apples. They wouldn't make that sacrifice for God.
Okay, yeah, it's not true because a lot of people are thinking that doing all the commands that God gives you, it's a burden, only because they don't have a proof that God exists. If you have a sure proof that God exists and he is the truth, and you feel it, like you know the difference between the fake flower and the true and the real flower, it's uncomparable. After you look at the real flower, it's the fake flower is it's uncomparable. Same way, if you know God existing for you, all the other possibilities of God is just the same as shit. You don't like them, don't need.
I mean, look,
you know
I know that.
True.
So I know that my mother exists, but that doesn't mean it's not a burden when she asks me to help her solve a problem on her computer.
You not always think that mother is true. I mean, you for sure love her. I'm sure about it, but it's not the same as God.
Sometimes I think my mom is false.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Not false as existing. False as like she says to do something that you think is not the right thing to do, and therefore you feel it's a burden because it's not the right thing to do. Like she says, go. No,
it's just look like in fact, helping my mom solve her tech issues is probably the right thing to do. It's just sometimes like, you know, it can be frustrating sometimes or whatever. I love her so much, but you know, like sometimes you just want to not do that kind of stuff, and like that doesn't mean that I don't think that she exists.
Got it. We're talking hypothetical. That's why it's really it's a thin material. But if you know God exists, if you know He's true, so you love Him infinitely, and you do everything He did. He's not. You don't feel pressure about what He asks you to do.
Of course you do. That just flies in the face of like all the biblical stories, right? Like Isaac and Abraham, right? There's like tons of stories where God asks people to do things, and it's like people who love him, people who do, and it was like very like mentally burdensome on these people to actually like follow through on it. The idea that you're more called on, or what word am I looking for? You're more like burdened by God's non-existence than by his existence is just silly. That you would be more burdened by not listening to what God tells you to do as opposed to listening to what he tells you to do. That just seems obviously false to me.
Why? I don't think so.
Because God said, like, do these things. You don't just do what you want.
Rabbi, I can just quote you a verse.
Can you please call me Levi? Levi is my true name. Can you call me
Okay, Levi. I can just quote you a verse. This is in Numbers 11. Moses is literally saying to God, "Why are you treating me this way? Why are you giving me such a heavy burden? Why are you asking me to do all of these hard things?" Like that's an important story. Yeah.
I have
It's
it.
Numbers
I know
11 verse
maybe the
11.
name. I know what it talks about. I remember before Moses comes back to Egypt, but I need to see the exact.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know
go ahead.
maybe Bereshit, Shemot? Do you know this type of names? Because I don't know what Numbers is. Is it
It's the
second book?
fourth. It's the fourth.
Okay, fourth book. Bereshit, Shemot, V'Kra, B'Midbar. Okay, B'Midbar. So what's Numbers?
11.
No, Numbers and then like 2, 8, whatever.
Oh, yes, it's 11, 11.
What? Numbers again?
Numbers 11, 11. Yeah.
11, 11. Okay, it was close to 9, 11. I'm sorry. I'm not American. I'm not allowed to laugh at it.
No, you're fine.
Thank you. Okay, 11.
Like, I mean, specifically that verse. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's It's after the Jews are broke the.
What the fuck? What happened? He just got fucking raptured.
What?
What, me?
No, Jews don't get raptured.
No.
No.
Okay, Dr. Blitz. Actual rabbi, hello? Are you back? Levi?
I can hear him.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're good.
Okay, בדרך כלל, וישמע משה לעם לכל משה. Okay, and Moses heard all the cries of the families, and when he heard it, he said to God. Okay, so the difference is we talking about, Moses was a living person, and he always had a possibility, a hypothetical possibility that all that he witnessed was a hallucination. Therefore, he wasn't believing. I mean, for sure he believed in God. I'm saying that there's some example of the way you know 100% God existed, because Abraham and Isaac, Isaac and Moses, they all could have explained everything as whatever a hallucination. The same thing that you're explaining it.
No, but this is irrelevant. The reason I brought up this verse is because this is a specific case where Moses recognizes that what God is asking him to do is too heavy of a burden. And so he complains to God. He's like, this is too much. Why are you asking me to do all of this? And then God says, okay, you know what? You're right. It was too much to ask of you. I'm going to kind of spread out the burden and spread it out amongst some of the elders. So like this is explicit recognition that what God asks you to do can absolutely be a burden. It's in the book.
There's a saying that hard decisions make a good life, the easy decisions make a bad life, something like this. Like if you decide hard things in your life, that you just live easier then. If you slack off every time but not doing the hard decisions, then it's gonna be like harder to live later. So sometimes doing everything God asks you, it could be hard, but if you know it's the right thing, you'll do it, or you'll do it.
Moses didn't do it. Moses didn't do it.
Okay, he asked. Okay, Moses was a very holy person, and he didn't came to God and says, "I don't want to do it." He says it was too hard for me. It's very hard, and God listened to him, and he says, "Okay, so I'll bring this like upon other people or upon couple people, whatever."
He literally says, "If this is how you're going to treat me, just kill me." He's not willing to do it.
Okay, so the way I know this verse, we explained it that Moses didn't want to be different. The God says, you correct me on that. God says, "Let me kill all the Israelis and make a new nation from you," right? There's the verse saying that.
I'd have to read it.
No.
I'm not familiar with the verse.
No one knows it. Like I thought both guys knows Bible, so it's like let.
I don't know it as well as say Justin does.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, like certainly you're going to have like more knowledge on like the specifics of the Bible. If you are in fact an actual rabbi, you'll have way more knowledge of the goings on of the Bible than I do.
Also, it's not. It's partially true. For sure some question that they ask other people are just different in Torah and Bible. There's a difference of translation. Like the same Bible that after Moses came down from mountain Sinai, he had horns. It's I think that's what the Bible says, right?
It depends on the translation, but perhaps Halo is
Right,
better.
that's what I want to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the point. Because I heard one day Ian was talking about the rabbit and the bun, right? Like this question, like says, well, how God cannot know His creations? He says,
We're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, you know
Yeah, it's okay.
what?
We're like all over the place.
Well, anyway, we are kind of off topic. So actual Rabbi, unfortunately, I have a hard cutoff in like 5 minutes. Because I have a prior standing commitment. I don't know if Ian wants to continue, but I guess what I'm saying is that, like, we got off onto a huge tangent. What I'm saying is that it seems like even given explicit knowledge of God's existence, which Moses certainly had, right? Even given that knowledge, Moses recognized the burden. And so I don't think it's I don't think it would be so unexpected to think that some people just wouldn't want to obey all of God's commandments if they knew that God existed, because they'd recognize that it's a burden. I mean, Moses is supposed to be the holiest among us, right? And even he thought it was a burden. So what about us normal people?
It's true. It can be hard sometimes. I mean, who said to you that when you was born? Who said to you that life gonna be easy?
No, but what I'm saying is that plenty of people would just choose to not follow God, even if they had evidence that He existed. Even if they had proof.
If everyone knows that God is existing, what would it be to not worship God? I mean,
he asks hard things. There's a lot of times where it's just going to be easier to not listen to him, right? Like, let's say you think God exists and then he asks you to kill your firstborn son. Fuck, dude, I'm probably not going to do that.
So you know that you're going to get hell after because of it, right? So you choose to go to hell, right?
I think a lot of people wouldn't go through with killing their firstborn son. I think like most people, if given a command to kill their firstborn son, wouldn't even like do the setup for it.
I mean, but you know the if you know that God exists for sure, you know the good you wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you're looking at it from like some sort of like disconnected outside perspective, yeah, like the decision that minimizes suffering is killing your firstborn son. But the problem is that from the first person perspective, you're actually doing it. I don't think most people, even if they believed in God, would actually set up to kill their firstborn son.
That's why God don't tell everyone to do this in the first place. It's true, not everyone would do this.
Yeah.
God is not stupid to say to everyone do something that he cannot do.
Yeah, but it's like conceivable that there's times when you just like wouldn't listen to what God tells you to. That you might believe in God, but still like just not go through with it.
In fact, I mean, hold on. The Hebrews did this, right? While Moses was up on Mount Sinai, they decided to, build a golden calf, even though God told them not to.
Okay, so I heard you learned in a Jewish elementary school, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I spent 6 years at a Jewish school. Yes.
Okay, so you know it's a midrash, right? Midrash.
I know what the midrash is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we believe not only in Torah but certain.
Yeah. I'm familiar with the oral tradition. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you know that they waited. Moses said to wait 40 days for him, right?
Sure.
And Jews thought that it includes the day he goes on the mountain. So on the day 39, when they thought it was already day 40, they saw that he didn't came back. So, and also Midrash says that there was a cloud on top of the mountain. There was a shadow of that person. So therefore they thought that he died there. And after they saw that he died, they need a new god. So they created this ox. That's what the Midrash says. It's pretty logical.
Well, look. But what I'm saying is that they knew that they weren't supposed to do that, right?
Okay, great.
And they knew that God existed, right?
Yeah, the higher powers. They saw all the miracles. They knew the higher power existed, but they only prefaced that Moses died. What you just saw. They saw that Moses died. So okay. So Judaism is not true. So let's pray to other high powers.
Okay, I mean, if the explanation is that they didn't actually know that this was true, then sure, I guess. But I think that they would have probably had pretty compelling evidence that it was. up to that
No,
point.
but
But that's
they
we
still
could argue
lose
that, but I don't
like,
have a lot. I don't really have enough time. Sorry.
Okay, okay, it's fine. I just want to
Um,
know. I'm doing good job to answering some questions, like a cancer problem. Did I answer this pretty
No,
much? or
not at
no?
all. Nope.
Not at all. Why?
Not
Okay,
at all.
it's very hard to track from now back to the question.
It
because
is.
There was a lot of questions.
but we should probably end here. Sorry to cut you off.
Yep.
And I do appreciate you being here. But yeah, we should probably end and then read some super chats before we go.
Yeah, and you
Thank you
know,
for being here,
I
Ravi.
have the same name.
Love you.
I have the same name, and every Friday probably. I'm trying to strip night. Do you have Discord somewhere when I can know when you're starting? Because I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's my
stream
Discord.
snack.
Yeah, look at my link tree. Okay, we have to read super chats because Blitz has to go, but thanks for being here.
All we have is from Fears Interaction, $5. Much appreciated. Great show. Here's some money. Buy yourself a coffee. Don't tell Forrest, and you could probably split a small one. Fair point. Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I did just read it, so now. Anyway, I got a dip, but thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. Hey, I'm ending. I'm not going live, but have a good one. Forrest will be on the live or on the line later. I don't know what Justin's doing.
Oh yeah, me neither. I'm gonna be busy all day.
Yep. Okay.